ch. 10. Down, down, to Darkspawn Town. Neria POV. This place is awesome. This mother base had everything. An armory, training room, a library, which had all the same books from the tower, which was strange, my own room, no Templars breathing down my neck, and my own bathroom. The tower didn't have plumbing. We just threw our waste out a window pointing south. This is crazy. I also have a closet with some clothes, not enough for an entire week, but Nick gave Win some money so we could buy some clothes and other objects in the village. According to Nick, there's a dwarf merchant that has a little bit of everything. I'm inclined to believe him, especially when seeing the large-scale woman walking through the house with enough jewelry to make a thief have a stroke, with Jack and Ayla coming in with all the books, and Julia looking like she robbed a bank. It feels a little strange being back. As I walked through town, I spotted houses that seemed familiar, but it's been such a long time that I couldn't be sure. Everything looked smaller, but I was 4 the last time I was here. Bodan was a good man, very accommodating, and well, he didn't have everything I wanted, but he did have enough for me not to be worried about my clothing situation for a long time. I even got new robes. Bodan really did have a little bit of everything. As I lay in bed, I wonder about my next plan of action. If Win is to be believed, then the tower believes I'm dead and I shouldn't be worried about them coming after me, so I can leave and go anywhere, but where would I go? With what money? They still had my phylactery. All it would take is one person watching me do magic and, bam, back to the tower and back to tranquility. I shiver at the thought. I could still feel it sometimes. The emptiness, the nothingness. Nick told me that his magic didn't get rid of my memories, but instead allowed my mind to handle what happened to me, to make sense of what happened to me, without me going mad, or twitching, screaming, nightmares, vomiting, just all-out panic. I'm grateful. I hated being tranquil, but I'm not sure if I could have had a normal life without his help, and I feel like I'm on my way to that normal life. I mean, yeah, I'm on a flying island, going to fight Darkspawn to save the world, and everyone here is strangely good-looking. Okay, none of this is normal, but the fact that I haven't lost my mind, and according to Nick I can no longer be possessed by demons, so that's a plus. Neria, lunch, came Alyssa's voice from the hallway. I jumped out of bed. Nick makes the most delicious meals I have ever had. Rushing into the kitchen, I found myself to be the last to arrive. Andrast's flaming knickers. I spotted Aidan and Alistair gorging themselves like wild animals, and the only place to sit was next to one of them. Damn. What are we having? I sat next to Aidan. Alyssa took the seat next to Alistair, offering him some of her lunch. Is she feeding him? Burritos. Nick called out. His eyes still make me shiver. Don't worry too much over those two. He pointed to the wardens. You eat burritos with your hands. Like savages, Win commented. She was the only one eating her food with a fork and knife. Ignore her. Any mess you make is cleaned through tortilla chips like a true food connoisseur, not like this mad woman. Nick hissed at Win, who rolled her eyes. He passed me a plate with strange hard bread. I looked over at the Horn sisters who were scooping some food that fell out of the burrito, and using it like an edible spoon. I'm sure you've already explained, but, what are you? I have never seen anyone like them before, or the other large-horned woman who just ate an entire burrito in a single bite. My, those are some sharp teeth. She saw me and gave me a large sharp-toothed smile. All her teeth fit perfectly with one another, giving me a perfectly white wall of teeth. Focus. I looked at Alyssa. What? She pointed to my plate. My burrito was gone. Looking over, I found Aidan eating 2 burritos at once. Will wardens eat until they explode? Nick passed me another burrito. This time I kept a tight grasp on my food. I'll explain everything when the rest of our group joins us. How many people are in this merry band of misfits? Alyssa asked, tossing food into Alistair's mouth. He caught it like a tried Mabari. Including everyone here, 17. The dog next to Ayla barked. 20. Counting the dogs. And according to Kalen, he and the others found some suckers to join us to fight the blight. Nick corrected himself, giving Sky another burrito. Suckers. Do you believe we are suckers? You, A man who came from a safe land to a blight-infested war zone, call us suckers. Morrigan's incredulous voice came over the warden's chewing. Did I ever say I wasn't a sucker? No, no, my dear little Morrigan, I dare say I'm the craziest person in this room, but sometimes you need crazy. Can't deny that. You're definitely crazy, Nick just laughed. That's what I like about him. Sane people never think of making flying islands or traveling to new and unknown lands. Julia pointed out. Or seduce dragons, Jack smirked at Nick, who smirked back. It's the horns. They get me every time. Sky started flexing her tail. And scales. My scales are very strong, beautiful, and good for a family. That look she gave Jack was a bit much. Jack didn't seem impressed. It's true, I used some for rune making. Julia pulled out a shiny white scale. If I'd never seen Sky's scales, I would have thought it was a piece of ice. What's it do? Asked Alyssa. Julia then pointed at Nick and a beam of light shot out and struck him. That nearly shocked the magic out of me. Even the wardens stopped eating. Well, they ate slower. Nick was covered in a bright light, which faded, revealing Nick, cleaner and shinier. His black hair glistened, any dirt he gained from cooking was gone, and his teeth shined. It's a cleaning rune. I made it so if we're ever too far away from Mother Base, we could still get clean. That, and according to you, dark-spawn blood is poisonous, so you know, better to have something to clean it off. 'Tis marvelous, you used a rare dragon scale. For cleaning equipment. If you want to clean out your blood-covered robes by hand, Morrigan, all you have to do is ask. Morrigan raised her hands in surrender. Joking, 'twas only joking. So, when are the others supposed to arrive back at Redcliffe? Asked Aidan after finishing his 5th burrito, dabbing his mouth with a cloth, like that was supposed to make me forget his monstrous eating habits. Sometime around dinner time. How are you so certain of the time? Wynne asked. I placed a tracking rune on the car. The globe map is tracking its speed, and calculating the arrival time. Car. I'll explain it later, when they get here. I don't want to explain it twice, Nick sighed. I looked over to the map. The round map. I was always told that the world was flat, that if you ever went outside the edges of the map you would fall into the void. How many lies have I been told? Neria, focus, Nick sang. Wah, looking down at my hands. I found that my half-eaten burrito was missing. Looking around I found it going down Aidan's throat. Oh, come on, Morrigan, control your man. That made everyone laugh, well, everyone but a blushing Morrigan. // Nick POV. With lunch out of the way, Julie and I went down to the armory. With 5 more people joining our war effort, I had to make armor for each one. Whether or not they ever get one is up to them. Oh, who am I kidding? We're going to the deep roads. I'm probably letting them borrow them just so I can keep my conscience guilt-free. I also made magic steel braces just for Zevran, made them with a friendly fire rune, making it impossible to attack us. At least until he earns our trust. With my rune crafting being advanced, making the armors wasn't too difficult. This gave me some time to think of my future projects. I know I wanted to make a Hulkbuster level armor, but that was more of a side goal, for fun. After the Blight was finished, I was planning to gain the land that Skyhold is on. Not only that, I was planning on looking for an Illuvian, not to use it, but to reverse engineer it. The Illuvians are used for fast magical travel, but they also move through a different dimension. If I could make my own dimensional crossroads, it might be the key to traveling to different dimensions, or at the very least a way to return to a dimension I've been to. I know where one will be, Kirkwall with Merrill, but that one had the Blight. I know Morrigan finds one in the deep roads and Celine's elf lover uses one to help her spy network. Before all that, Orzammar comes first. My original plan was to just spam golems until I practically flood the deep road with an army of death-dealing earth giants, but if I do that, I doubt the dwarves would let me go so easily. I would have to unleash my horde after I enter the deep roads. I have no doubt I could fight my way out of Orzammar, but I didn't want to make enemies when I didn't have to. That works better too. I could just explain that we came across an underground stash of golems and we released him to fight Dark Spawn, and with Okran being a drunk no one likes, No one will believe him if he says anything, and that's if he says anything. I don't think Okran likes the other dwarves that much. Still, if I do this right, I could gain a staggering amount of express, even if I have to split it 3 ways, and the dwarves can have a little breathing room from the dark spawn. As we finished the group's armor, we held off from making any weapons. I know that in the game Zevran was an assassin and primarily used daggers, but I can't work with game knowledge here. This Zevran could use darts for all I know, so it's best to hold off on making any weapons. For now, Julie and I were working on a super golem, 5 feet in height, but packed with everything it might need. The problem with my other golems was that they grew stronger with height, which meant that if I wanted to use my more powerful golems, it would have to be in a large open area. Julie and I were trying to compact a large golem into a smaller form, with all the strength. We concluded that Earth would not give us the strength we desired, so we had to make it out of individual pieces, a bit like a robot, not like the ones I made at the castle. Those were just aesthetic robotic golems. We concluded that titanium would make the core of the golem, which would become a magic engine with at least 4 mini-arc reactors. The rest of its body would be made out of a chromium steel alloy for strength, and copper as its nerves for faster reaction speed. With my rank up in my rune crafting, I now had space expansion runes in my memory banks, giving more space inside the chest of my new golem, as well as more space to write runes. I had to buy the big book of charms from the gamer store, 30 gold well spent, so I could make the armor big enough for us to enter. This is going to be one hell of a golem. Charms Mastery, Hocus some Pocus. You now know how to use charms. These are spells that alter an object without changing its essential nature. Beware, these spells last as long as the MP you powered them with. You are unskilled, but with your int and wis stats, you start at novice. My charms mastery acted a lot like my rune crafting. Whenever I want to use a charm, multiple options would come up. If I want to make a teapot float to me, I could use a summoning spell like Harry Potter's, Accio, or Skyrim's, Telekinesis. Both did the same thing, but one was easier and meant for smaller things, and the other was more mana intensive but used for bigger objects. It was an annoying process, having to find what I needed best, but I got it eventually. I just had to be more specific in what I wanted it to do. Julie said that it should have a female figure. Her reasoning: boobies have more space for runes. I haven't made any female-shaped golems. Mostly because I didn't care. It was a golem, but Julie wanted a female golem, so a female golem it was. We didn't finish her by the time Duncan arrived back in Redcliffe, but we did finish the torso for the core to be placed into. We stacked it with some serious durability runes. We didn't want her to break anytime soon. We decided to call it a day, and we'll start up again tomorrow after the girls' reading lessons. They can now read and write at a 2nd grade level. They learned rather quickly, but I just chalked it up to my teaching skill and their willingness to learn. I looked at my car. It didn't have a scratch. Nope, it had a big ass dent. The driver's seat was mangled, the trunk was bent out of shape, and it was covered in dark spawn blood. I looked over at Theron, who had his poker face on full display. Naisha did it. I looked over at Nat. I forgot what was forward and backward. I sighed, and the pedals are too low. This is your fault. I walked over to the driver's seat and pressed a rune that made the pedals rise high enough for her to use. Oh, sorry, I used Julie's new cleaning tool to get rid of the blood. I'm going to repair it before we hit the deep roads. I doubt we're going to use it there, but you never know. It lowered down into Mother Base, my poor baby. So, it is the golem maker, right? Shale and Zevran, forgot about them. Warforged dwarf. Shale, Kadash. Age, 1185. LVL, 50, stuck until upgraded. Durability 1200. MP 100 and 100ths. Street, fists of granite. V, the only way she can die is through combat. Dex, she's over 3 tons. Int, all birds should die. Wis, trying to figure out how to kill 3 birds with 1 stone. Char, she's a straightforward lady. Luck, she's been stuck in one place for 30 years. Ailments. Amnesia. Shale is one of the war golems created by Paragon Caradon in -255 Ancient to defend the Dwarven Thags against the Dark Spawn during the First Blight. As such, it has been a golem for more than 1,000 years. Shale was a part, for a time, of the Legion of Steel, a Dwarven army regiment that was composed completely of golems, and she was the only female volunteer to join this regiment. However, Shale seems able to accurately remember only the events of approximately the last 30 years, and its knowledge of what it did prior to that is mainly based on what it has heard from others. She finds it difficult to believe that you are the creator of all the golems she's seen. That I am, Miss Kadash. Compliments to the Forge Master who created you. She gave me a confused look. Well, I think it was a confused look. It's hard to tell with her not having any facial movement. My name is Nick Walters, golem maker, adventurer, and chef. It's a pleasure. I gave her a small bow. I looked over to Zevran, who was giving me a smirk. Elf Assassin. Zevran Arinai. Age, 25. LVL, 30. HP 450 450ths. MP 5/5. Street. His fit, but not made for strength. V. He is very active. Dex. He is the wind. Int. He believed the wardens would kill him. Wis. He might be able to find some level of redemption. Char. How you doing? Luck. Came for death, found hope. Ailments. Depression. Zevran was born around 905 Dragon to a Dalish woman who fell in love with an elven woodcutter. His elven mother abandoned her clan and moved with the woodcutter to Antiva city. Zevran is unsure whether the woodcutter is indeed his father. After the woodcutter died suddenly, presumably from disease, Zevran's mother was forced into a life of prostitution in Rialto to pay off the woodcutter's debts and died soon after giving birth to Zevran. He considers himself lucky for a boy who grew up in a brothel. He was later bought by the Antivan Crows and made into an assassin. He finds your eyes to be very alluring. And Mr. Arinai, I believe. Oh, yes. I see that my reputation precedes me. You can say that. Here, these are for you. I tossed him the braces. As he caught them, they turned to a liquid substance and wrapped around his arms, reforming. Oh, I'm not much of a jewelry type of man, he said, trying to remove the braces, only to find them to be stuck on tight. Don't bother, Zevran, they're locked onto you. Nothing short of chopping off your arms will remove them, and even then, they'll just move to another limb. How generous, but I don't think I deserve these. Much too pretty, I laughed. Aren't they? I made him just for a contingency just like this. They're safety braces. As long as you have those on, you can't hurt us, accidental or otherwise. Go ahead, try and kill me. He didn't even hesitate. He threw a blade right at my chest, which just bounced off harmlessly. You have been attacked by Zevran Arinai for 5 points of damage. Friendly fire. All damage mitigated. You have taken 0 damage. He looked at me in shock. Have you made me your slave? Don't be ridiculous, Zevran. Slavery is a disgusting practice, and I would be most pleased for you to never put me in that sort of category ever again. No, those braces not only keep us safe from you, but I dash right into his face, making him flinch, the dagger he threw tapping harmlessly into his neck. Also protects you from us. Nice, right? I smirked at him, backing away. He reached up and touched his neck. Don't worry about cleaning around them, they move. The steel braces slid from his arms, through his clothes, reforming on his legs. Oh, that's great. Hypothetically, how long are these gonna stay on? Until we trust you. Good. I patted him on the back. Don't worry too much. You seem like a good man. You'll be out of those braces before you know it. Yeah, that's me, a good man. Why does it call me Kadash? Because that's who you are. Shale Kadash. You're over 1,000 years old and one of the first female dwarves to ever become warforged. It knows much about me. More than I do. How do you know this? You'll learn, Mus Kadash, that not much can escape my sight. It's a mage. Correct, my lady. It called me warforged. What is that? I am a golem. Yes and no. I can create a golem like you. I summoned a similar golem made of earth. But it will never have what you have. You have a soul. Soul? Indeed, my golems work by infusing my magic to give them life and runes to keep them going for a long time. You're made differently. I don't know much about the creating of the Warforged, but I do believe it would take a master crafter and a lot of magic. We're going to Orzammar. We may be able to find more about your creation there. Yes, let us do that. Since I have the time, I would like to apologize now before Julia sees you. She's a good friend of mine and wishes to become a rune master, so she might try and get a better look at the runes around your neck. It's not the first time a mage has done this, but if it tries to take a piece, I will crush its head. I'll give her a heads up. Do you wish to come in and eat? I have no need for sustenance. I will stay out here. I wish to think about what you have told me. I nodded at her request. As for the rest of you, it's dinner time. I pushed Zevran, who was still trying to remove the braces, into the house, and followed closely behind everyone else. Good. I'm starving. All we got to eat was the jerky that was in the car. Naisha complained. My emergency jerky. What about the food I gave Theron? What food? We both looked at Theron, who gave us a thumbs up. It was delicious. You, butt-face, that food was for the rest of us. He shrugged. Kaelin also enjoyed it. Naisha looked ready to pull out her hair. Okay, that was then. I have food now. Naisha raced into the house. I'm eating your share. Theron raced after her. Cease your madness. Good to have these idiots back. Dinner was a lively affair, with Kaelin telling us the tale of the frozen golem. Most of it was embellished, but it was still fun to listen to. Alistair tried to one-up his brother by telling the tale of the broken circle. We had a fun time debunking their wilder claims, like how Alistair didn't stare down every demon he came across or how Kaelin didn't carry every man, woman, and child in the hamlet to safety. As dinner came to a close, we got down to our next plan of action. So, with the mages on our side and the dark spawn making moves, we should head to Orzammar immediately, I spoke. Who knows how many dark spawn have reached the surface? You're correct. The archdemon may have an army ready, but I doubt it. Duncan had a grim look on his face. If it did, it would have made a larger push into Ferelden, and with no one to stop them they would have marched straight to the larger cities. I pulled out my phone. Call Garrett Hawke. There was a moment of silence, only the ringing of the phone making any noise. Hullo, Hawke's voice came through the mirror. He was holding it too close to his face, I could only see his mouth. It's, hello, Garrett. His sister's voice came from next to him. Right, sorry. Hello. Hawke, it's Nick, can you see me? You're too close to the mirror. He readjusted the mirror so I could see his face. Oh, I can see you. Nice. So, what's going on? We got reports of dark spawn attacking villages and hamlets. Are you still in Lothering? We were, but we left 2 days ago. We did fight a large group of dark spawn on our way out, and even with your golems things got a bit dicey, but we got unexpected help. We all got out of there and are now heading to Danerum. I fear that Lothering didn't get off lightly. It seems like both siblings lived and Flemeth got a piece of herself to safety. It's good to hear you got out safe. Stay safe and call us when you make it to Kirkwall. He gave me a nod and hung up. It seems like the archdemon is sending out advance parties. It's testing the waters. We need to pick up the pace, but I don't want to split up, especially if we're going to Orzammar. It's too close to the deep roads for my liking. If the archdemon is targeting us, it might send a horde of dark spawn to attack us. Duncan leaned back in his chair. We need to risk it, Naisha spoke out. The dwarves have been fighting the dark spawn for years. They have the experience many of the other races don't. She's right, Kaelin confirmed. At Ostagar most soldiers ended up getting the blight by accident. We need someone to teach our soldiers how to handle the dark spawn. Especially now that we're going to use more civilians than soldiers due to the loss at Ostagar. We fell back into a silent room. Duncan nodded. Then to Orzammar, we go. And with that, I placed the coordinates on the flight plan. 2 days. // Those 2 days revolved around us teaching each other about our fighting style and where we would be best placed, and Julie and I working on Hestia with Shale and Sten giving us pointers. Learning that Sten knew about anatomy was interesting. According to him, the Arashok wanted his soldiers to know the best way to kill. Terrifying. I also got to know Zevran a bit more. He could use just about any weapon, but he used daggers most of all, and Shale just punches things. I asked who hired him and how he was able to find us so quickly. According to him, Hao hired him some time ago, and he wasn't after the king in any way. Instead, he was after Aiden. Hao hired him to kill any surviving Kuzland. Zevran tracked him all the way to Ostagar, but after the battle, he believed he died. Imagine his shock when he found him in Lothering walking around. He would have attacked sooner, but with us flying around everywhere it made us impossible to ambush. So, when we split up, he took his chances hoping to ambush the people in the car, but to his chagrin, Aiden wasn't even in that group, and after getting his ass handed to him, Duncan forced him into our little group of misfits. Whenever I'm not getting to know the people I'm flying with or cooking, I would practice my fighting style with Jack, Sky, and Naisha. Jack represented a medium-sized opponent with average strength. Sky represented a larger, more powerful opponent that I had to work around, and Naisha represented a smaller, faster opponent that I would have to predict their movements. I got my ass kicked pretty thoroughly that day, but you know what they say, pain is weakness leaving the body. They all had more experience or just had a ridiculous amount of power that I just couldn't overcome. In the end, my fisticuffs and Jeet Kune de skills rank up to intermediate. Shale loved flying. The only time she wasn't outside watching the clouds go by was when she was helping with Hestia. That and she kept throwing rocks at any bird she thought she saw, something about payback. She and Sten really got along, standing and sitting outside. The couple time was constantly being interrupted by Julie, who was studying Shale's runes. In the end, she came up with the theory that whatever made Shale was drenched in magic and it bled into her soul, and if she ever wanted to be upgraded, we would have to find what made her. I guess the anvil of the void was just that more important. "Ya think we'll give any of the dwarves any heart attacks?" I asked Naisha, who was intensely looking at the hologram. "I hope so," she muttered. I bumped her with my hips. "Everything's going to be okay, and if anyone tries anything, I'll snap their spines." She gave me a punch. "Hee hee, how's your magic going? I did give you plenty of time to test them." She smirked at me and snapped her fingers, producing a small flame, like the Human Torch. Kick ass. It was pretty difficult at first, but after using my golem as a focus, sneaky by the way, it became easier. "How'd you learn about the golem?" She shrugged. "Julie, I had to be her test subject, but I got help with my magic. Sorry for the deception, I wanted to see if the dwarves here could use magic. If it helps, the golem does have the spell Featherfall." "Hey, it's cool, but you owe me big," she teased. "I am at your command." I bowed dramatically. She smirked at me, and then punched me. Landing Mother Base was funny. Dwarves began running around like headless chickens. One of them dropped to their knees, arms outstretched, ready to accept Mother Base into their heart, only to gain a confused look on its face as I moved the base slightly away from the entrance of Orzammar. Naisha was dying from laughter. On the way to the entrance, we found a lot of empty carts leading to Orzammar. I think we may have scared him off. Oops. When we finally reached the entrance, we found a man angrily yelling at the sealed door. "Open this door, on the order of King Loghain. You will open this door." "King Loghain, isn't that a bit presumptuous?" "King, who?" Kaelin's voice sent shivers up my spine. The man turned with all the air of a noble about to reprimand someone, only to freeze in the face of Kaelin. "Ya, your majesty. But, Loghain said you died," looking over to Duncan and Aiden. "Wardens, what is this? This must be some sort of trick." He was silenced by Kaelin grabbing his throat and lifting him off the ground, Darth Vader style. "Listen, you, sniveling, little worm. I, King Kaelin, am giving you a command. Return to Danerum, and tell everyone that I still live. And if Loghain is still anywhere near my throne, well, apologize to my wife, because I will kill him." He threw the man onto the ground. He scurried away with his tail between his legs. King indeed, thank you, Theron. So, who wants to knock? I joked. Sky didn't even hesitate. Slamming on the door, it exploded inwards. I opened it. I just started laughing. Naisha punched me, but I couldn't stop. This isn't funny. They could bar entry. Hey, did you do this? Came a voice from the cave. It was a male dwarf. Are you attacking us? Do you wish for death? Calm down. My magic hit him full force. Ah, yeah, sorry. It's just that a mountain came from the sky. Hey, it's okay. It must have been a terrifying sight. But it wasn't us who destroyed the wall. It was that annoying messenger. He said something about how exploding your wall would teach you for ignoring him. Don't worry, we sent him packing, but he managed to blow up the wall. Everyone was giving me an incredulous look. Good job, everyone, but the dwarf, who was giving me a nod of approval. So, who are you? I am Nick Walters, merchant, wordsmith, handsome, and I guess, Grey Warden companion, I say, gesturing to the wardens next to me. The dwarf's eyes opened wide. Wardens, thank the stone. Come in, come in. The remaining door swung open. We are in the middle of a fight for the throne, and we were ordered to keep Orzammar closed until the council chooses someone to be king. I'm hoping that the popular opinion of some wardens can tip the scales. Orzammar's in a civil war? Asked Duncan. A small one. It's between Belena Edgicon and Pyrrhal Harrowmont. It's only thanks to the blight that we haven't been overwhelmed by dark spawn. We need the dwarves to fight the blight. Then I suggest you find a way to get a king on the throne. Don't care who, we're losing too many people because of this, and we don't have people to spare. Ah, that's right, the dwarves are on their last legs. With the constant attack by the dark spawn and lowering birth rates, the dwarves of Orzammar are at the end of their rope. I guess we'll do what we— Suddenly everything went dark. The feck, then there was a light far in the distance. What the hell's that? Then, as if warped, I was in front of the light. It was a giant heart, a giant blue heart. The hell? You, son of a— This thing was loud. You shall stop the curse. Ah, no, it began to glow brightly. You are not my child. All who walk my skin feel the same. Oh, you got to be joking. Another god. What? Is Solus about to walk around a corner and demand I help him rip the veil apart? Feck, give me a break. No, I'm not one of your children. Please leave me alone. You will find one of my children to use my might to fight the curse. No, please leave me alone. You shall, or I will take away your ability to use the stone. New quest. Let's rumble. The stone has demanded that you find it a paladin. Rewards. Earthbending master rank, 20,000 express, 1 gold loot box, 50 gold, friendly with the stone. Warning: failing this quest will have your earthbending removed and blocked. It will be painful. Son of a bitch. Can't you just find someone yourself? You're a god, for crying out loud. The mountain makers have gone silent, sleeping, on this continent, and the rest are watching over their charges. If you fail, I shall raise the sleeping. See, now that was a real threat. Gods know what would happen if the Titans rose from their sleep. Do you have anyone in mind? If I could just find this person real quick, I could just finish this quest and not worry about it. She travels through the earth's skin. She fights the curse. She is worthy. Hell's bells, that could be anyone. Can you, no, narrow that down a little? She has hair of gold, and will be struck down if you do not hurry. Time until the quest fails, 3 days. And now I'm on the clock. Just, great. That doesn't narrow it down. The blue heart vanished, leaving me in the dark. Great. Then reality snapped back into place, finding myself back at Orzammar's entrance. Shit, that made everyone jump. What's wrong? Called out Naisha, holding on to me. Do you know any dwarves with blonde long hair? I was resigned to this. I like my earthbending too much. Ah, no. Anyone? Why? Asked the male dwarf. Because your stone god asked me for a favor. More like a demand. They all gave me a confused look. I looked through my inventory, finding the gauntlets of stone. I summoned them, and similar to the Maker's holy book, it was a spectacle. The earth around us began to glow, and like before, the spot right above my outstretched hand began to attract the loose rocks and pebbles and formed a pair of stone gauntlets. Everyone was in awe. I just rolled my eyes. I didn't want to be known as the God Whisperer. I wanted people to know me as the dude who makes cool shit. It's a working title. What are those? Whispered the male dwarf. The gauntlets are made by your stone god. They can. I observed them. The gauntlets of stone, made for the paladin of the stone. These gauntlets allow whoever wears them the ability to earthbend at a novice rank. Will rank up with practice. Whosoever holds these gauntlets, if they be worthy, shall possess the power of the stone. Earthbend. I finished. Can I try 'em on? He whispered. I shrugged and put them on the floor. Knock yourself out. He immediately dropped to the floor and tried to lift them, only to nearly dislocate his shoulders with how hard and quick he tried to lift them. Why are they so heavy? He groaned as he tried to lift them. Whosoever holds these gauntlets, if they be worthy, shall possess the power of the stone. I said it with an extra huff. In layman's terms, only those who the stone believes would make a good paladin can lift them. What the criterion might be is anyone's guess. Naisha and Ayla just gave me the hardest glares. I thought you worked with the maker, Ayla asked, shoving her book in my face. Like that would prove my friendship with the maker. Yeah, and why didn't you tell me about this? Naisha looked a little hurt. Goddamn it, this is why I didn't want to get involved with gods. It tends to make people upset. I do not work for any god. I rejected that notion. They make demands and I, literally, cannot say no. The stone threatened me. If I fail to find this woman, it will take away my earthbending. And I like my earthbending very much. That made them back off. Sorry, they muttered. I let out a sigh. No, it's not your fault. I'm special. I guess the gods are just using me for their own machinations, and I'm taking it out on you guys. I raised my finger at Theron, who was about to ask me something. Nope, the elven gods have not contacted me and I'm not planning to look for them, he snapped his fingers. So, let's find this woman and not worry about it anymore, okay? They nodded. Thank God that's over. Looking back at the gauntlets, I found a new line leading back into Orzamara's dwarf after dwarf was trying to lift the bloody things. I should have charged 10 coppers a try. Alright people, wrap it up, I have things to do today, so I can't be out here and watch you all be unworthy. I moved over, shooing him away, and picked up the gauntlets. That made him a bit upset. I think I even heard a boo from the crowd. Yeah, get out of here. The people slowly dispersed. You sure do have plenty of surprises. Morrigan teased. Should we call you the God Whisperer? I gave her a bland look. I don't know, Ms. Koosland, should we? She glared at me and backed away, bumping right into someone who, out of reflex, held her hips, stopping her. Turning her head to give whoever touched her a death glare, only to come face to face with Aiden. He whispered something in her ear, causing her face to explode into a blush. She huffed and tapped his hands, indicating that she wanted him to let go. He, of course, released her, but in the most sensual way possible. Instead of just moving his hands away, he moved them up her hips, slowly, before removing them. Okay, now that the married couple is finished with their foreplay. That got both of them blushing. What do we do now? With Orzamar king less and their army killing themselves and these stupid things. I waved the gauntlets around. We now have a lot more to do. Last I checked, we didn't get ordered to find this blonde woman by a dwarven god. Teased Alistair. That's a good point, Alistair. I guess I'll look for this blonde woman and you get to walk all over this beautiful country on a time crunch. Joking, I'm joking. Yeah, that's what I thought. But in all seriousness, we need to do something. If we don't do anything, the age of underground dwarves is about to come to an end. And I'll lose my kick-ass earthbending. You're correct. Kalen and I will talk to the council. The rest of you try and find any clues on the 2 candidates, Nick, and see if you can find any clue on your mystery woman. We'll meet up back here to discuss our next plan of action. Duncan ordered. Orzamar was huge. How this place hasn't collapsed in on itself was a miracle in construction. Like Redcliffe, the buildings were built right into the walls, but unlike those houses, these were more on the low-relief side of the architectural format. It was a dome made of houses and shops, filled with thousands of dwarves as far as the eye can see. And in the center of it all was a huge column that stretched from its ceiling to the floor. And there was lava, everywhere. It was the main light source that illuminated all of Orzammar. Damn, I don't want to live in this place. It looks like a sneeze away from just being drenched in lava. There had to be some kinda cooling rune keeping everyone from just being boiled alive. Maybe an air current rune to funnel air in here. I don't know, can't see any. Okay, before we go out and get into trouble, I, in good conscience, can't let you guys go without giving you some real protection, especially if Duncan's theory is correct. Morrigan, fast as a whip, was the first to get to me with her hands outstretched, making a gimme motion. This brat, I sighed and handed over her armor, which molded onto her. She started playing with the dress function. Seeing this, Leliana was next doing the same hand motion, eyes shining with the thought of all the outfits she could make. I rolled my eyes. This was going to be a thing. Oh, that does look very nice, but I'm already in armor and I completely ignored Zevran and threw his armor at his face, which morphed into a crow motif I once saw online, steel crow helmet and all. Oh, never mind, this is nice. He started checking himself out. Neria and Alyssa ran up next, and finally Win. Sten, do you still not want your armor? At the moment I am the weakest link. I cannot allow myself to be the reason we fail. So, I will take the armor. I nodded at him. Sten's armor was modeled after Reinhardt from Overwatch, powered by 3 mini-arc reactors, enough runes to protect him from falling off Mother Base from cruising altitude and give Shale a run for her money in the strength department. It made Sten look unstoppable, a walking tank, the ideal Kunari warrior. The dwarves around us backed away in shock and fear. Okay, get used to your new armor and weapons, you never know when you're going to wipe the floor with anyone and everyone. We decided to break off into teams after my gift giving. Team 1, Naisha, Jack, Julie, Pancake, and I. Team 2, Aidan, Alistair, Morrigan, Ayla, Princess, and Alyssa. Team 3, Sten, Shale, Sky, and Theron. I added Dogmeat to this team. I feared what these guys would do without some level of supervision. Team 4, Leliana, Win, Neria, and Zevran. Team 5, Duncan and Kalen. Splitting up, we head to the one place with all the information. We went to the library. They call it the Shaperet here, but I digress. Walking up the stairs to the Diamond Quarter of Orzammar. It was clean. All you had to do was ignore the dead bodies and the fighting dwarves, yelling about how their king candidate was the best. 'Cause I did. Beautiful. Should we do something? Asked Jack. Nah, these guys are the warrior caste. If someone not of the warrior caste is found fighting someone of the warrior caste, they'll get fined, Naisha explained. That's dumb as feck. That doesn't sound like a sustainable system, Julie pointed out. It's not, but people are big on tradition, to a suicidal degree. There are about 100,000 dwarves in Orzammar, and that's it. I heard rumors of Kal Sharok still kicking, but we don't know how many live there. They also hate us. After the first blight, when the dark spawn focused solely on us, one of the paragons collapsed the deep roads, allowing the people of Orzammar to survive, but doomed the other great thags. Any smart person would have left this place and made a home on the surface, but tradition kept us down here, tradition made the caste system, and tradition is choking us. I give this place about 100 years before Orzammar falls. I think there are more dwarves on the surface than down here. It's only a matter of time before the surface dwarves call themselves true dwarves, and there's nothing anyone could do to stop that. I mummed. Well, sucks to be them. Let's find our mystery woman. Nick, don't be insensitive. Can't you see how delicate this is? No, he's right. Feck these guys. The faster we leave the better. Naisha waved away Jack's concern. I walked into the library with all the swagger I had and walked right up to the nearest librarian. Excuse me, my good man, but I need help finding a woman. You and me both. I laughed. I like this guy. Nice. But I'm looking for a special woman. She has long golden hair. And that's it. He just looked at me for a good long while. I need more than that. I can't be more descriptive. Long blonde hair, maybe a warrior, a woman, definitely. Maybe she went into the deep roads. The man sighed. Who are you? Ah yes, my name is Nick Walters, above average height, blue-eyed, like long walks at the beach. At your service, my good man. And how did you get in here? I'm traveling with a grey warden. I pointed at Naisha, who was helping Julie pull out books and put them back in the wrong places, angering the other librarian. And as you can see, we're in a rush. Right, so, anyone who goes into the deep roads is recorded on scrolls placed on this wall. He pointed to a wall filled with hundreds of scrolls. And that's only the people we see leave. Some are banished so they're erased, others just give up on life and walk into the deep roads never to be seen again. We just write those people as missing. Okay, so this isn't going to help me whatsoever. But you're a librarian. Shaper. So, you must have been to many important meetings and whatnot. During all your time have you not seen a long golden-haired woman sent into the deep roads? He gave me a nervous look. He knew something. Well, He shook his head. No, sorry I can't help you. Please leave, we can't help you. He started shoving me out. Hey, hold on. Whoa, watch those hands. He shoved me out of the building. Say what you want about dwarves, but when they want you out, you're out. Julie and Nat were shoved out next to me. Jack came out willingly. I can't take you three anywhere, can I? I was learning rich dwarven history and... You were bored out of your mind, weren't you? I concluded. By the ancient evils, yes. They had an entire book about names they might give future children. Who writes an entire book about that? And Shaka Shaka isn't a good name. So, we've hit a dead end. I sighed and rested my back on the wall. Man, I really liked earthbending. I heard you're looking for someone. Came the voice of a young woman. Turning my head, I found a young dwarf. Teenager. Dwarf Smith. Dagna, daughter of Janna. Age, 19. LVL, 4. HP 150 150ths. MP 5/5. Street. She knows how to use a hammer. V. She can handle hot lava heat. Dex. She climbs the stairs to the Diamond District every day. Int. These guys need help. I need help. Whis. Waited for the right time to strike. Char. She has a 1,000,000-watt smile. Luck. A mage fell right into her lap. Her family has been part of the Smith caste for 100 generations. Despite this long lineage, Dagna feels no interest in smithing and chafes at the restrictions of her life, feeling misunderstood by her family. Instead, she wishes to travel to the Circle of Maggie to study magic, a peculiar desire for a dwarf as they are incapable of using magic. She likes how your eyes glow. And you know this how? I was in the Shaperate and you were talking very loudly. I looked over at my friends. They shrugged. I should use my indoor voice more often. And you can help us. Dagna, she gained a shocked look. How? Magic, she gasped. I knew it. I was following you since the Common District. I gave her the people's eyebrow. I ran into you on my way up here and we happened to be going the same way. She wasn't a threat, otherwise my danger sense would have gone off. Right, so can you help or not? I can, for a favor. A classic quid pro quo. What you want, little lady? Gold, magic, fireworks, pie. Nothing is too far from my reach. For you are talking to Captain Nick Walters, human, sightly, tall, all-man, I called out, striking a pose. I want to go to the Major's Tower by the lake. What, those dorks? Why, I could teach you better than those Muppets. I want to learn about magic. Not, whatever you do, captaining, I'm guessing. They can't teach you magic. They can barely teach themselves magic. I, on the other hand, am a magic savant. She gave me a blank stare. Ho ho, I see you doubt me. Nat, honey sweetie baby, can you show this non-believer my great magic teaching skills? I staged whispered to her. Nat rolled her eyes. You didn't teach me squat. You gave me a book and golem and sent me on my way. But, I leaned so close our cheeks touched. She sighed and shoved me toward Dagna. Walking over, so others couldn't see, she produced light, a simple cantrip, but to Dagna, it was the most amazing thing she had ever seen. She got so close I almost told her, if she stared too closely she would go blind, like mothers told their children the multiverse over. Then the light spell went out, and the broken face she made almost physically hurt me. What happened? She looked desperate to regain the light. I can't keep it up in a place like this. Too many eyes. Nat answered. Yeah, but who would recognize you? Naisha. Goddamn it. A dwarven woman came running. She looked a lot like Nat. Naisha. It's you. I heard there was a Grey Warden dwarf, but I didn't dare hope. She gave Nat a big hug. Look at you, my little sister, battle-scarred veteran. And with quite the unusual entourage. I leaned over to Dagna. Did she just insult us? She shrugged. Standing to my full height I walked over to them and bowed. If you would allow us to give you privacy to talk to your sister, we will be but a step away. Making it seem like Nat was someone of higher rank, and to her credit, she caught on rather quickly. Very well, but give me some of my favorite treats. I wish to share with my sister. Of course, my lady. I summoned some cinnamon rolls on a plate. Pancake appeared from next to me and allowed me to put the tray on her head as a walking table. She's going to demand all the treats after this. I backed away, giving the sisters some space. Tell me you have more of those, whispered Jack from my left with Julie on my right. I summoned 2 more, discreetly. Looking over at Dagna, who was still looking sad. I sighed and gave her a roll. She ate it much slower than the 2 sweet monsters next to me. These are really good. Thank you. Now about the blonde woman. Not so fast. You somehow taught your friend magic. That shouldn't be possible. Dwarves can't use magic. I want in. I raised my eyebrow at her. In? Don't play stupid with me. He's not playing. I looked over to Julie. Damn, I think I love this woman. Yeah, he's a terrible actor. This is all genuine stupidity. I then turned to Jackie. Damn, I think I love this woman too. I want to learn magic. You know magic. You can teach me magic. You need help finding a blonde woman. I know a blonde woman. So, she stuck her hand out at me. You get your blonde woman. I get to learn magic. Deal, I hummed. She drove a hard bargain, but she had the information I needed. Deal, I shook her hand. A deal has been struck. Deal, for your help in magic Dagna will give you all information she knows about the blonde woman. Reward, advancing on your quest. Let's rumble. If broken, you will be known as the Dream Crusher forever. Well, that seems unfair. Her name is Serida Ejikan. She was the sister of one of the possible kings. Story is that she killed her older brother and tried to take the throne from her father, but Belen found out and banished her. It caused quite the scene. Everybody who knew Serida swore up and down that she would never kill her family, but whatever happened, it happened quickly and quietly. We didn't even know she was banished until we saw her walking into the deep roads. That's why this whole civil war started. People stopped trusting Belen. They believed that he killed his family for the throne. The dwarf noble. I really should have seen this coming. Alyssa and Neria were here, along with every other possible warden. There is probably some city elf somewhere waiting for our sorry asses to save them, or for them to save us. Do you have any idea where she might be? She shrugged. For her to survive in the deep roads for so long, she would need help. She may have gone to see if she could join the Legion of the Dead, but I don't have the slightest clue where they might be. If I would have to make any guesses, it would probably be somewhere by the dead trenches. It's an unending battlefield. Feck. Thank you, Dagna. I pulled out one of my 2 remaining wizarding books. This is the first step on your magical journey. I'll give you a focus when I return. I'm not sure when that will be, but I will wait by the entrance of Orzammar when I return. I'll send a magical light into the sky, so try and keep an eye out. She held onto the book like it might fly off. I'll be ready. She then took off. Are you sure it's okay for us to bring her along? Asked Jack. We watched Dagna skip away. I could feel her happiness. She'll stay on the ship. And I think she would have left Orzammar, with or without us. This way she gets to be safe, and Julie gets a rune student. It's a win-win. Fine, but don't make her fall in love with you, she teased. Le gasp. Is that jealousy I hear? From the Storm Queen. Not at all. I just don't want her chasing a man who won't give her the time of day. Le gasp 2. Electric Boogaloo. What is that supposed to mean? It means that I'm getting tired of waiting, and if you don't make a move, I will, and I'm not subtle. I'll take what I want. She purred. I gulped. That look in her eye has only ever been directed at sweets. Oh my. Yeah, and I'm next after her. Julie chimed in, also giving me the same look. I had only ever had one girlfriend before coming to this world, and we were more dating friends than a real couple. We didn't even have sex, we felt like that was too much. She moved away after college and I threw myself into my work, never really cared about dating much, and only wanted to help my family with rent and bills. I'd never gotten hit on like this and I didn't know what to do, but I'd be damned if I was going to back away. I grabbed Jack's horns, pulling her head back, allowing me to see her shocked face, and laid the most sensual, clumsy, tender kiss I could. Electricity traveled from my brain down to my spine throughout all my nerves. It almost felt like I was flying. I couldn't keep my eyes open. Taking a page from Sky's book on kissing, I probed her lips with my tongue, getting her to gasp, allowing me entrance. I grabbed her lower back, pulling her closer and lifting her off her feet. I just couldn't let her go. I wanted her closer, but the need for air forced me to take a breath, allowing me to see her face. Her eyes were closed and she was breathing heavily, her face matching her hair. My face was probably matching hers. My heart was pounding. There was a strand of saliva leading from my lips to hers. Is that a good enough move? Her breath smelled like cinnamon, and her lips were sweet. Yeah, for now, she panted. Her eyes were still closed. I gently put her down but didn't let her go. Wow, we both blinked, and looked over to Julie and Nat, who were both blushing. We backed away, embarrassed that we had an audience. I'm next. Nat, you have to take your turn after Sky. Nat started choking on her own spit. Hold on, I got just the line for this. Your lips are filled with evil and need cleansing. Wah! She wrapped her hands around my neck and pulled me down to her lips. Julie had way more experience than I did. According to her, she's been practicing with Sky. Like with Jack, the lightning was back, but Julie's kiss felt like a raging fire. Part of me wanted to push her away, but I felt I would freeze if I let her go. So, I held her tight as she shoved her tongue down my throat. Her saliva felt like a soothing balm, easing my heat, and if I didn't get more, I would most certainly die. I fought her for control, but she had me the moment she shoved her tongue down my throat, and I wasn't complaining. I don't know how long I held onto her warmth, but the need to breathe finally allowed me the strength to pull away. When I opened my eyes, I saw her glowing sulfur orbs looking back with an intensity that frightened me, but I couldn't move. Like prey that spotted the predator, and knew that if it tried to run or move the chase would commence, and I knew I wasn't going to get away. Mine, she growled. It sent a shiver up my spine. Okay, break it up. We can't do this here. Nat pushed us apart. Thank you, Nat. I don't think the dwarves would be happy if Julie took me on their precious diamond quarter floor. Looking over at Jack, she also had the same look Julie had. Is this a tiefling thing? She blinked a few more times and the subconscious aggressive stance she had mellowed out, allowing her to regain some of her natural relaxed swagger, but her blush stayed. Julie still looked a little on edge, looking at me like a tiger would a plump deer. Jack walked over and bumped her. Gaining her attention, she blinked and regained some of her composure. Did they know something like that would happen? There was a flashing prompt on my HUD. Through hard work and effort, you have gained a new skill. Kissing, pucker up lover boy. Prove your love to your significant other. You are unskilled, but due to your high char stat, you start at intermediate. Every kiss you give sends pleasure tingles up your partner's spine, leaving them wanting more. 3% chance of giving your partner an instant orgasm. Right, sorry, I allow Nat to push me away and lead me down to the common district. So, how was your sister? Man, that was an awkward transition. It didn't help that Jack was still blushing and Julie was happily humming. She's banging the king, or at least one of the possible kings. And I now have a nephew. So, that's something I guess. You don't sound too happy. She shrugged. My family has never been close. My sister and mother have only ever cared about themselves. Oh, she may seem like she was happy to see me back there, but she only cared because the wardens are well respected down here. If it wasn't for that, she wouldn't be caught dead talking to me. Julie huffed. Well, screw her. You're my sister. I'm even willing to share my man. She then pulled Nat into a one-armed hug. Nick, come over here and give this girl one of your best toe-curling kisses. Nat shoved her away. Whoa, whoa, there. Hold your stones. What makes you think I want anything from tall, pale, and glowy over here? Am I pale? Should I get more sun? I guess I have been in the armory a lot. But, don't you always stare at his butt when he passes by? Gasp. Is that right? I fended a surprised look. I stare at a lot of butts. That's all you can see at this height. Are you saying that I'm just any other butt to you? I swooned in false pain. A smirk grew on her lips. That's right. Never forget that you're replaceable. Gasp. We went quiet for a second and burst out laughing. Okay, enough jokes. In truth, I'm not ready to be in any relationship. I mean, she sighed and sat on one of the stone benches that littered the common district, Pancake lying at her feet. I'm not sure. I felt like too many things are happening, and being back here just brings up shitty memories. Maybe when we get out of here. I sat next to her and put my arm around her. Jack and Julie sat next to us. You don't have to do anything you don't want to. I'm not going anywhere and no one is forcing you. She leaned on my chest. Ha, I can see why they like you. You're too sweet. Julie giggled at her joke. And we just sat there, enjoying the silence. It was nice watching the day go by without worrying about what we needed to do next or being stuck in the lab cooking up new runes to improve something or another, just being in each other's presence. Too bad it was broken by a dwarf flying out of a door face first. Why that nug-humping shit-slinging big-horned dark-spawn-loving, he turned to us. What you looking at? Ya Wan, he didn't get to finish thanks to another dwarf flying out of the building and landing on him. I looked towards the building finding Shale holding another dwarf by the scruff of their neck and tossed him at the downed dwarves. Oof, stop throwing people at me ya bloody rock. Looking closer at the angry downed dwarf. He smelled like a brewery that hadn't been cleaned in years, but somehow still made alcohol. His hair was blood red, and had what I could only describe as a majestic moustache-beard combo. All in all very dwarvish. Dwarf berserker. Okran Kondrat. Age, 38. LVL, 39. HP 789 800ths. MP 5/5. Street, he has been fighting since he was 16. V, he's a high-functioning alcoholic. Dex, fast but drunk. Int, get up, go back into the bar, drink, then kick their ass. Wis, trying to drown his sorrows. Char, his alive. Luck, his wife loved his cousin. Ailments. Drunk. Depressed. Okran was one of the best warriors of his generation and a member of House Kondrat in Orzammar, and in his youth, he became quite popular, especially among women, due to his many victories against decorated veterans in the provings. He became interested in a young woman of the merchant caste named Felsi, but before they were able to pursue a relationship, his house betrothed him to a woman of a wealthy Smith caste family named Branka. Okran's family, believing the match to be of benefit to both families, pressured him to marry their choice. Even though she was eccentric and seemed more interested in smithing than in her new husband, the first months of the union were relatively happy and peaceful. He's drunk and angry. I could hear Dogmeat barking up a storm trying to restore order, or making things worse. I don't know dog language. Should we do anything? Asked Jack. It should be fine, I left Dogmeat in charge. I once bribed him to eat your slippers because they looked ridiculous. I was wondering where they went. Sky probably gave him some meat so she could do whatever she wanted. I have the utmost confidence that he would. Ha ha, I knew giving the small furry creature food would allow me to gain full command. I heard Sky laughing from the bar. Betray me immediately. I got off the bench and marched into the bar. It was mayhem in here. Tables were flying, chairs were being used as bats, alcohol was in a safe place until the bar fight ended, and in the dead center was Sky, standing on a table holding two dwarves in one hand while chugging a mug of something, probably alcohol. Theron was sitting under her, sipping at his own drink, reading some book, passing Dogmeat some food. Shale and Sten were using dwarves as projectiles. It was wild. Hey, that made everyone freeze. Dwarves mid-punch, Sky getting ready to toss a full, Sten and Shale holding 4 dwarves in a chokehold, 2 in each arm. The servants slowly raised their heads from behind the bar. The bartender just stood there, cleaning a mug, like he's seen this every day. What the void is going on in here? Before anyone said anything, Okran burst through the doors, red-faced and ready for a fight. Who's ready for a thrashing? You, he pointed to Sky. You big-horned, fat-legged, tiny-brained, nug-humping dirty scal. He was silenced by my haki-imbued hand latching onto his face. I don't care who Okran was. No one calls Sky's scales dirty and gets away with it. He started thrashing in my hand. I lifted him in the air and flung him at the nearest dwarf. Get wrecked, you little bastards. And the fight was back on. I'm not going to lie, I got punched a lot, got some bruises, a cut lip, 1 black eye, and got a stone chair to the back. I definitely lost track of the fight, but in the end, I was one of the last ones standing, with Okran across from me. We were both swaying back and forth. Theron was still reading his book with Pancake, Dogmeat, Jack, Julie, and Naisha by his side. Sky was unconscious, she wasn't hit or anything. The alcohol finally put her down, and Sten and Shale were putting a large number of unconscious dwarves out on the street. Got to admit, I thought, you'd go down by now, old man. I was huffing and puffing. Okran's no joke. He, you need to do better than that, if you wanna take me down, ya brat. His words would have been more awe-inspiring if he wasn't also huffing and puffing. We slowly started inching closer. I was too sore to move any faster. Just you wait. When I get my hands on you, I'll do all of Orzammar a favor and dunk you in some clean water. And I'll shave that mop you call hair. You, baby-faced milk drinker. When I finally got within arm's reach, I learned I couldn't raise my arms. Ha, you're doomed now. Again, that would have been a threat if he could lift his arms, which he couldn't. Arg, just give me a second. Arg. He started twisting left to right, giving himself some swinging speed, only to slap my thigh. How do you like that, ya tall baby? Damn you, you small human. He gave a loud gasp. I have never been more insulted. What the void is going on here? We turned to a dwarven guard, and then back to each other, and as if telepathically communicating, we turned back to the guard. The dwarves outside started attacking us because, and I quote, stunk up the place with our tallness. And as any good warrior and citizen of Orzammar, I wish to put a stop to any unneeded aggression. But those men, and women, would not be civil, and attacked us. And not wanting to have a diplomatic incident, was forced to help these newcomers. The guard turned to the bartender, who was still cleaning a mug. Is this true? The bartender just looked at us. I looked at Jack, who put a bag of gold on the table, and turned back to the guard. Yep, he answered with an emphatic face, tired of our nonsense. The guard squinted his eyes at us. I got my eye on you. The guard left, probably to check on the people outside. Both Okran and I slumped onto the nearest chair. By the stone. You got a good swing. For a wine drinker, he groaned. And for a man who can barely reach my chest, you have one mean punch. I sat down and hissed. Sweet molasses. He started giggling and I joined, slowly reaching a mad cackle. Name's Nick Walters, babyface, milk drinker, chick magnet. Okran, best ale drinker this side of the deep roads. I began healing myself, getting back to my feet in no time. What the? Why didn't you do that sooner? Didn't want you complaining about how this is cheating or some nonsense, and how you would have won if I did. I walked over to him and healed him back to full. He laughed. I definitely would have. So what are you guys doing down here? Orzammar isn't really stable at the best of times. The Blight need the dwarves. They're the ones with the best darkspawn fighting experience. We gonna need that, I answered. He hummed. I guess the Blight couldn't pick a worse time to start humping the surface then. Is there ever a good time for a Blight to start fecking things up? He laughed. No, I guess not. Any idea when this stalemate is going to end? It's been going on for a while now. The assembly has been split down the middle, and everyone's waiting for the neutral houses to take a side. But those nug lickers are stubborn, and like that the dark spawn aren't at the gates, so they might try and get more out of it. It's a matter of time before one of the kings starts killing the neutral head of houses and tries to put people who support them in charge. And could lead to an all-out civil war, and you're never going to get the dwarves to join your fight. Anyway, we can break the tie. A paragon. We look over at Theron, who flipped his book over. It seems to be a book about dwarf culture. Paragons have extreme power over the dwarven people. All we need is to get one of them to choose. Ha, nice thought. And you're right, but there ain't any paragon in Orzammar anymore. The last one left 2 years ago. He gained a surly expression. Well, let's go get them. Where are they at? Julie asked. Deep roads. Took her whole house, well, most of her house. Left poor old Ocran here by his lonesome. He took a swig of some mug that was left out. You knew her? Jack asked. Knew her, she was my wife. He downed his drink. Oh, Ocran. You smell like alcohol. Oh, Ocran, you smell like a deep stalker's butt. Well, sorry. It's not like I wanted to smell like that. I had to kill dark spawn, and drinking helped me forget what they do to my fellow soldiers. He ranted, grabbing another mug and chugging it. She doesn't know what she's missing. Ha, well, whatever. If she wanted to go down there and get to know the dark spawn, more power to her. You don't mean that? Julie whispered. No, but it felt good to say. As we're on the topic of dwarf women, can I ask you about Serida Egican? The ex-princess. She was exiled about a month ago, I think. Why? Your stone god asked me to find her. He gave me an incredulous look. That's super crazy, but for some reason, I believe you. Thank you, honesty skill. If, and I mean if, she is still alive, she would have used the older Egican tunnels to get somewhere safe. Probably to get to the Legion of the Dead's old outpost. Old outpost. Yeah, the Legion is constantly fighting the dark spawns, so they tend to move from outpost to outpost. With the Blight, I have no doubt that the Legion has moved deep into the roads. Maybe even the dead trenches. Any idea where we could find the outposts? Bah, you can't miss them. They're made to be spotted, so dark spawn don't run past them and head closer to Orzammar. Serida probably took the older route because they're safer than taking the main tunnel. Legion outpost, got it. Thank you, Ocran. I'll remember that. Hey, you guys going after Branka? I don't know. I know there's a high chance we are, but with Kalen and Duncan here, we might have enough political power to swing the vote. If we can't get a king on the throne, then we just might have to. I see. If you do, come get me. I've been to the deep roads and know my way pretty well. Them Grey Wardens might come down here, but many don't leave. I'll give you a holler if we do. He got up and walked out of the bar. Seems like we got a guide. We do indeed, Theron, we do indeed. Also, where the hell were you when I got hit by a stone chair? I was giving you moral support. I had to heal Sky from her drunkenness, because she kept roaring out in pain, which would cause more pain, causing her an everlasting pain loop. She was able to calm down by shoving her face in Julie's neck like a child who saw something scary and would try and hide in their parents' protective body. I wanted her to feel every bit of the pain, so she could learn not to overdrink, but one stern glare from Julie made me reconsider. I can still hear Theron make a whipping noise. We waited at the bar for another hour before heading back to the entrance, where we ran into the other teams. And like I thought, we did have to go after Branka if we wanted anything to be done. Ocran was right. Many wardens that come down here, but very few leave, and it's not because the wardens were hearing the calling. Apparently, the dark spawn make new tunnels all the time, and that can confuse people, leading them around in circles for days only to run right into their nests, making them into easy meals, and it was best for us to have a guide. We found Okran, who was somehow drunk again, down by the entrance of the deep roads helping other warriors to kill dark spawn. The entrance was littered with the skulls of dead dark spawn. There were dwarves on ballistae, archers, there were fecking rock throwers over the gates. There were at least 1,000 dwarves at the ready. These people took this seriously. Made sense though, if they failed, Orzammar dies. We heard the telltale sound of an incoming ogre. Sten, it's time to test that armor. I called out. Sten, not needing to be told twice, rushed forward, meeting the ogre halfway out of the entrance, nearly bisecting it in a single swing of a sala. If Sten let me upgrade his sword, he would have cut that ogre in half, but this is good enough. He then Spartan kicked the thing right back into the tunnel. I didn't even hear it hit the ground, it just flew away into the dark. Do I do good work or what? I muttered. The ugly, hissed Sky. The what? She pointed to the dark spawn. It is the ugly. Mother, warn us of the ugly. That we shouldn't eat, only kill. That the ugly would ruin your scales and make you like it, ugly. We should be careful and not eat. Nikki, I need sharp scales. I think she was talking about the steel gauntlets I made her. She said that her claws were strong enough to kill anyone, but it seemed like even she didn't want to touch a dark spawn. I didn't have to worry too much about dark spawn blood sticking to her body, due to the cleansing rune I put on her armor, but I also made her a mask that was made to cover her face and focus her frost breath. I made it look like a dragon's face. I couldn't see her face, but her wagging tail told me she was happy. Took you long enough, ya barely average dwarves. We met barely an hour ago, Okran. Ya, but I knew you'd come down here. Ain't no other way to get those old nug wranglers to agree on something. He took a deep breath. So, going after Branka? I nodded. And we need a guide. He, I got ya. Follow me and we'll get to Branka in no time. We might even get to that dwarf you're pining for. I patted him on the back and led him to the rest of the group. Proper introductions were needed. According to Okran, the journey from Orzammar to the Orton Thage, but was told that she was last seen closer to the dead trenches, making it around 16 days to the trenches, and that's if we don't have to take any detours. He gave us landmarks that we should pass on our way there. We start with the Eregican tunnels. Rumor has it that the Eregican Thage is down there somewhere. With any luck we might find Sereda near here, because that's when my time limit ends and I fail the quest. After the Eregican Thage was Caradan's Cross, which would take 2.5 days to get to, followed by the Orton Thage, taking another 2 days, and then from Orton straight to the dead trenches, a journey that might take 5 days. In total about 16 days. Great. New quest. Welcome to Darkspawn Town. A paragon is needed to break the stalemate for the King of Orzammar. Reward, 20 gold, 20,000 express, 1 gold loot box, friendly with Orzammar. I cannot properly describe to you what the deep roads were like. Sure, I could tell you about the smell that was constantly around us, or the noises that would come from farther down the tunnel, only for nothing to be there when we reached where the noise came from. I could even describe the large stone architecture that would seem to stretch out for miles only for it to come to an end 10 minutes later, the crushing darkness that would smother us when we would leave the lava light. No, I could write all that down and speak it to my children, but it was the feeling of the stone and rocks that seemed to be constantly watching you, that if you displease it, it would all come crumbling and you would never get to see the sky again. It's only thanks to my gamer's mind that I was able to walk the broken road. We stuck to the team groups we were in before. Nat led our group, Jack and Julie were in the middle, with me watching our rear. I would leave golems every 60 feet, I counted. Didn't want any of those monsters sneaking up on us. We kept a 30-foot gap between each group, giving us space to fight, but not far enough where backup would be unreachable. Nat and Ayla got good practice using the light spell down here. The first time we had to sleep, I created nearly 160 earth golems to protect our camp. I made them look just like shale. That was all the magic I had and would need 30 minutes to max out again. Okran was completely shocked, but after some alcohol, he sort of just went with it. He did ask me how I made him and how many I could make, and I told him that after we found the long blonde-haired dwarf, then I would show him exactly how many golems I could make. At the beginning of the second day, we finally ran into the outpost, but we found no one there. Okran believed that with the blight going on, the dark spawn would probably be further down the road by the dead trenches. We were able to find some sign that someone was here. Duncan, Theron, and Okran believed that this person stayed here for at least 2 weeks, probably hoping that the Legion would come by this way and that they wouldn't have to traverse the roads, but they seem to have given up on that idea and moved on. Using my tracking skill, I was able to pick up a trail leading deeper into the black chasm known as the Deep Roads. It was the morning of the third day and we were hot on her trail. It was only thanks to the quest timer that I even knew any time had passed. Without the sun and stars, the only way to tell time was, if you're tired, rest; if you're not, keep moving. After half a day of traveling, I was beginning to lose hope, until we found it, the Eregican Thag, and we heard the sound of metal striking flesh. Not wanting to waste a moment, I created an earth pillar for Julie and Leliana. With them pointing to something, they started unleashing arrow after arrow. We couldn't see the dark spawn, but we just followed the arrows. And that's when we came upon a lone woman covered head to toe in dark spawn blood with a wild look in her eyes, holding a ginormous steel hammer. I froze for a second. Thankfully my gamer's mind snapped me back to reality and I started earth-bending condensed rocks as fast and hard as I could. I killed 4 Hurlocks and a Genlock before they even knew what was happening. They got a rude awakening when the more bombastic party members slammed into their flank, that and Okran's colorful vocabulary. 32 dark spawn, that was the number I killed in that one battle. There were easily over 100 of those damn creatures. I hate the deep roads. Hey, are you okay? As I got close to her, she started swinging her hammer at me. I of course backed up and created an earth wall to stop her from crushing my melon. Whoa, the wall didn't last long. It took only a single swing of her mighty hammer to shatter my wall, peppering me with debris. Feck me, learning from my mistake, I sunk her up to her waist. Dwarf exiled princess. Serida Eregican. Age, 26. LVL, 39. HP 300 and 780ths. MP 5/5. Street, that hammer isn't a joke. V, she's tainted, she will die, or worse. Dex, if she wasn't stuck to the ground, she'd be wringing your neck. Int, all sorcerers are evil in every story she has ever read, so that means you're evil. Whis, she got crazy eyes. Char, she's covered in dark spawn blood. Luck, she's been lost down here for weeks. Ailments. Slight madness. Depression. Tainted. Exhausted. Low starvation. Low dehydration. Blood rage. Serida Eregican, the favored child of the Dwarven King, she proudly took up her first military command. Only to learn that the deadly intrigues of Dwarven politics can pose greater dangers than even those of the battlefield. Framed for her brother's murder and exiled by her younger brother, she was thrown into the deep roads by her brother, hoping she would die. Release me, foul sorcerer. Why is she talking like she's from Middle-earth? Oh, so, you can talk. Julie, we need a cleaning. Jumping from her pillar with the grace of a fighter from the movie, Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon, she jumped from rooftop to rooftop, with unnatural jumping steps. Morrigan called it stupid but still wanted that to be in her armor. All it needed was a journeyman feather fall rune and a novice propulsion rune at the bottom of the boots and shoulder blades. Silence, sorcerer, if you do not release me, I shall kill you, slowly, and with much pain. She hissed, like a snake. The deep roads really fecks with people. I used create water and started drenching her, forcing her to drop her hammer, allowing me to earthbend it away. 1,000 curses to you. May your death be humorous and sad. What kind of insult was that? She slammed her fists on the ground in anger, giving me the perfect moment to trap her hands in the ground. Rah, your mother was a nug and your father smelt of moldy mushrooms. I'm here, so, who's she? She said, pulling out her cleaning scale, zapping her right in the face. As the light faded, her long blonde hair was the first thing we were able to see. It looked like polished gold. Beautiful. I shall dump thee into the nearest lava pit. Right, She's still crazy. Clean, but crazy. Walking up behind her, not wanting to get bitten, I grabbed her head and began healing her. You dare touch me, a princess, with your pale bony fingers. I hope you get thrown into the sky, never to touch the ground again. My hands aren't bony, they're thick and masculine. She gave a loud gasp. You are filling me with your foul essence, to dirty the purity that is my body. Is that true, Nick? Are you shoving your essence deep into her body? Nat teased. Breaking through all her barriers. Morrigan added. Just like in the Paladin and the Stable Boy when the evil witch used John for his magical body, leaving him drained and weak in the knees, after sucking out his magic. But in reverse, you're filling her with your magic. Sky nodded at Julie's words. Ms. Julia, you must share your books with me, Zevran begged, Leliana nodding next to him. Ignoring them, I continued to heal her. Sereda Ejikan has multiple ailments. Which do you wish to heal? Slight madness 390 MP. Depression 240 MP. Blighted 300, 301, 303, 302, 304. Exhausted 60 MP or rest. Low starvation, food. Low dehydration, water. Blood rage 400 MP or time. Her body is fighting the blight. Is this a dwarf trait? Is it because they lived down here for so long? With these creatures, it's not important. She needed healing and I could heal. I healed her blight first. I felt like that was the more pressing issue, followed by everything else. Ah, who, wah, what magics is this thy knave? Does she just talk like that normally? My mind, 'tis returning. You, smelly dwarf, how long have I been down here? She then began vomiting black sludge. Smelly dwarf, look who's talking. I laughed at Okran's incredulous face. I made more water for her to spit out what was left in her mouth. I think she's talking about you, Nat joked. Shut up, and you're no bigger than a nug. Best you don't go insulting people. Now, Sir Okran, you cannot talk to such a fine lady, with such vulgarity. Hello my dear lady, my name is Zevran, it is a pleasure to meet you. Silence, all of you, I desire to obtain the duration of my time within these accursed darkened walls, and as Princess Sereda Tharuna Thunderlina Ejikan is my name, I will gain my answers. So, shall we do this the easy way, or will thy wish for a throttling? She got lots of spunk for a woman buried in the earth and puked up her guts. And, how are you going to do this, throttling, Muz, stuck in the ground? Asked Alistair. Silence, you, tall, gluteus face. What? She called you a butt face. I clarified. Oh, we should just leave her here. That's a little dark, Alistair. It would be like bringing a second Morrigan with us. Isn't one too many already? Morrigan threw a pebble at him. Okay, calm down ya children. We're not going to leave her behind. Receive that, the box-headed oaf. Mostly, 'cause I like my earthbending, and I would very much like to keep it. I finished. I pulled Sereda out of the hole. She was wearing heavy ruined armor. Her hair reached her lower back and she had light gray eyes. Do the gods like blondes or something? Here, I summoned the gauntlets, shining rock animation and all, and I gave them the proper respect, by throwing them at her frantically like they were an albatross around my neck. These are your problem now. What matter of sorcery is this? She looked over the gauntlets, inspecting them for any ill will. Why grant these to me? I was asked by your god to find the blonde dwarf, save her, give gauntlets. I've completed my side of the agreement. And how do I know you speak truth, mage? This could be a trick to control me. Quest completed, let's rumble. The stone has demanded that you find it a paladin. Rewards. Earthbending master rank, 20,000 express, 1 gold loot box, 50 gold, friendly with the stone. Oh, it seems, unlike the maker, the stone doesn't care about acceptance. To it, if you're worthy, you don't get a choice. I raised my hands and backed away. You don't have to do anything. I had to get the gauntlets to you. Anything after that is between you and your god. Oh, and if I do this. She yeeted those gloves so well Tom Brady would have given her a round of applause. We all watched them go far into the Thaig, landing somewhere over some buildings. What say you now, sorcerer? She laughed, pointing a finger at me, only to find that the gauntlets were equipped. Wah! She panicked, but before she got to do anything she began to glow. I guess she also gets a Sailor Moon transformation, but unlike Ayla, who got shiny new armor, Serida's armor exploded off her body, leaving her in some chest wrappings and loose pants for movement, I'm guessing. Removing the gauntlets, she chucked him again. Looking down at her hands, finding them not covered in stone, she gave out a long relieved sigh. Ah, she looked at Ayla, who was pointing at her head. Reaching up, she found a new pair placed on her head. Ah, she grabbed them and shoved them into the ground with enough force to cause a small tremor. I can see why the stone chose her as its paladin. Checking her person for any sneaky gloves, she breathed easy, finding none, only to squeak. The new pair appeared tied to her belt, swinging down and giving her a spank. What madness is this? I demand you take these back. You crazy. Do you have the slightest clue how much trouble those were? They're your problem. Have fun. I turned to leave. I got 5 good steps before danger sense came online. Dodging to the left, I watched a rock the size of my head sail past me. I slowly turned to her. Her stone-covered fist was outstretched, pointing at me. Everyone was pointing weapons at her. You shall release me from these infernal gauntlets. She hissed at me, not caring about all the weapons around her. I raised my hands. Now it was more about imagination than movement. No, no, I got this. Everyone slowly backed away, weapons still in hand. You wanna test me, huh? Okay, let's see what you got, princess. With my master rank on earthbending, creating a dueling ring was child's play. Serida attacked with sloppy, strong movements. She would swing her hands back and forward, launching rocks and pebbles with wild abandonment, trying to hit me. This was sad. The stone mustn't have given her any stances with the gloves. She was failing to use her legs correctly. She would stomp too hard or step with the wrong foot when swinging. I wondered if this is what Bumi felt like fighting other earthbenders. I didn't do anything. With her wild swings she was using up her chi at a ridiculous rate. She would tucker herself out soon. Ha, look upon yourself. You cannot even attack. My moves are so fast. Oh, does she think she's good at this? Let's bring her back to earth. Tapping the floor, the earth underneath her tilted mid-swing, throwing her off and tripping her to the floor. Then I used an earth pillar to launch her into the air, and before she landed, I summoned another pillar, sending her back into the air. Ah, oof, you, oof, nug, oof, liquor, oof. And I just kept doing that 5 more times before letting her hit the ground. OWWWW. Is that all you have? She spit out a glob of blood. This punk. Give it up. You're beaten. She laughed. Beat? What madness. Do you speak? She got up on wobbly feet. I can do this all day. Ah, shit. That sounded pretty cool. I sighed. Alright, that's enough. I give. It's my loss. That's what I thought. She then fell face first. I sighed and began healing her. Why surrender? You were winning, clearly, asked Sten, coming over. She's exhausted, starving, and dehydrated. She was never going to win. I just wanted to see what the stones saw in her. As you did with me, I smirked at Ayla. And just like you, she's stubborn. She wasn't going to take my nonsense. And now I wish to see her next move. I pulled out a freshly made T-bone steak. I put it just far enough so she won't be able to reach it. And this is, asked Win, her lunch. Serida's eyes snapped open at the smell of food. Looking over to the steak, she reached for it, but her body didn't respond. What have you done to me, foul magic caster? I healed most of your injuries but left the soreness. Moving is quite out of your reach. What do you desire? Me, love, respect, a place where I could sit back and not worry about anything, a 10-inch. From me. Oh, nothing. You have already helped by taking those gauntlets. Why me? I shrugged. No idea. Gods usually pick people who can overcome impossible odds, push past their limits, and keep moving. Maybe the stone saw the injustice done to you and saw you continue when dying would have been easier. Who knows? But it did choose you. It saw something. And now you have a choice before you. You will die if you don't eat. I pointed to the steak. And that there is all yours. I can't reach it. Nope, it's too far away and you're out of juice. Can't move an inch. We were silent. Nick, I raised my hand silencing Ayla. We fell back into silence. Please, it was a whisper. I barely heard it. Please, help me. Yeah, okay. I grabbed the plate and cut a small piece for her, shoving it in her mouth. She was crying as she chewed. Thank you. So, what's your next move? I want to clear my name. I want to see the world. I want to save the dwarven people. I want us to be whole again. We have been trapped underground for so long. My people are dying, and we're doing nothing. I'm sick of it. I'm sick of the dark spawn, the fear. I'm so tired of it all. She muttered. Then get some sleep. We're not going anywhere. She was asleep before I finished my sentence. So, we're resting here. I spoke to the group. Yes, we can make camp here. Start again after we're fully rested. Duncan ordered. Now Okran, you'll see how many golems I could make. Julie, can you give them Mana Regan runes? She gave me a nod. Then let's get started. I had 800 MP without my armor. In my armor I had 4000 MP. Each stone golem I made was 10 feet in height, costing me 25 MP with a durability of 75. It wasn't much, but I was using quantity over quality. If the archdemon wants to fight with minions, then I can too. I made 160 golems at once, making them look like shale, and it took me just under 30 minutes to return to max. And that's what I did for the next 8 hours. 2,560. That was my final count. I had them protect the Thag, making sure the dark spawn can't return here. When Serida woke to an army of golems, she gave one look around and went right back to sleep. I woke her back up, making sure she was fed and watered. So, now that you have been fed and watered, what's your next move? I need to learn how to fight with these things. She raised her gauntlets, and then, help the dwarven people, somehow. I smirked. One step at a time. She nodded. I wish you the best of luck. I was getting ready to leave only for her to clamp onto my wrist like a vice. I need to learn how to fight with these things. She just kept staring at me. I tried moving my hand out of her grip. I'm so sorry, but I'm very busy. There's a blight. Good Lord, now that she isn't dying of hunger, her strength is ridiculous. I hate the dark spawn, too. Let's work together. She was gritting her words. And like a shark who caught a whiff of blood, Duncan appeared from the shadows. So, you wish to fight the blight? I believe we can use someone like you. And Nick is the only one who can help you with your new powers. A2 Brutus. I definitely wasn't consenting to this. Using more strength, I kept trying to break her hold. See, all well, that ends well. She was not letting go. But I need to leave, Orzammar. Go on, land, under the big, unending sky, I warned. That's great. I wanted to see the world. Win-win, she hissed, trying to put me in a chokehold. What? Of Orzammar. I wiggled out of her hold, but she wasn't going to lose without a fight. What about it? It's not going anywhere. Damn, she's stubborn. I was going to continue, but Jack slapped the back of my head. Knock it off already. You lost this the moment the stone made you do this quest. Quest? We froze, slowly looking over at Duncan. Ah, yeah, you know, a quest. When you have to do a special job. Shit. I sounded nervous. Yeah, that's what we call jobs adventurers do in my country, Jack added. Quests, huh, sounds very story-like. Jack and I laughed, awkwardly. Yep, I bent down and scoop up Serida. Hey, watch thy hands. Wait, what am I wearing? Well, best get to teaching. I then ran off, Jack close on my heels. That was a bit too close. Of all the people who I thought were going to let something slip, Jack was not anywhere near the top of that list. So, what shall be our first lesson? I looked down at Serida. Oh, yeah, her. I sighed. All right, we'll start with the basics. And that's how the rest of our trip through this monster-infested cave was. Every time we would sleep, I would make another 2,560 golems and put them on standby. I did that for 4 more days. I had them lined against the deep road's walls, ready to kill and darkspawn dumb enough to pass by. I would get a random prompt every so often. Okran asked why I wasn't shoving him down those evil ale-hating nug-humping pea-brained blighted feckers' throats. The answer was simple. We needed to find Branka first, and it wouldn't help if we had an army of golems leading darkspawn to us. So, first Branka, then an army of darkspawn-hating golems. He was a bit upset that he wouldn't see the shocked look of thousands of darkspawn being crushed by golems, but he got over it after some alcohol. "Nick," called out Morrigan after we ate our breakfast on the 8th day down here. "According to Okran, we should reach the Orton Thage sometime today." "What up?" She just gave me a long look. I sighed. "Yes, Morrigan, how may I be of assistance?" "That's better." I rolled my eyes. "You have made an army of golems in the last 5 days. And why do you not just make an army for Ferelden? Kalen would be happy to use them to fight the Blight. What good would that do?" She gave me a confused look. "Would that not give us a huge numerical and powerful advantage?" I can see where you're coming from, but can you, or anyone," I spoke up, seeing as everyone was now paying attention to our conversation, "tell me what would happen if I did that?" There was silence for a second. "We could beat the darkspawn super easy," answered Alistair. Yeah, probably. What else?" "Many lives would be saved," answered Neria. "No doubt. What else? Think bigger. Ferelden will be viewed with suspicion, and Theta's power structure will fluctuate wildly," Kalen answered. I tapped my nose and pointed at him. "Correct. If I start making golems for Ferelden, at the speed I'm making 'em down here, every other country would either demand we stop or simply attack. Ferelden will be feared, people would think they're gearing up for war. And who would blame them? One day you know the power of your enemy and the next thing you see is thousands upon thousands of unfeeling, unstoppable, killing machines. You would attack before they gain any more, stop it before there's anything you could do. But we're using them to fight the Blight. Why attack?" asked Ayla. "And after the Blight, what then? How do they know I won't make more? How do they not know Kalen won't use them to shove their stone foot up their asses? No, making Ferelden golems en masse would only cause more problems. That's why I made him down here, and their only job is to kill darkspawn. If we go back and say that these golems were always down here, and we accidentally activated them from an unknown Thage with no control rod, and the last thing they were told to do was kill darkspawn, who's gonna be angry? Who's gonna deny their purpose? Who's going to come down here and put a stop to it? Nobody, because nobody cares about golems killing a bunch of darkspawn. I dare say everyone would be happy. And what of you?" I tilted my head. "What about me? Why don't you make an army and conquer all? If you do it in secret, no one will ever know, until it's too late." I just laughed at her. What's so funny? You have the power. And do what? Rule over a bunch of people who hate me for taking over their land. Why would I ever want that? I have good friends, a flying home that can go anywhere, and the world is my oyster. So why, Morrigan, would I throw all that away? To rule a bunch of people who hate me? No, Morrigan, I don't want power to be mighty. I want power to be happy, to be able to keep the people I love safe, and not to worry about the future, and what it might bring. You're young, Morrigan, you have never had to take care of anyone but yourself. We both know Flemeth can take care of herself. And one day, maybe one day soon, I looked over at Aidan. You'll find something that outweighs all the power you could ever want and would happily put it away for those you care about. And when that day comes, call me, we'll share a drink while you tell me everything." "Such madness. That would never happen," she muttered. I bumped her with my hip. "Never, always happens when you think it can't." I bumped her into Aidan's hands, who didn't even notice, eating his breakfast. She rolled her eyes, but didn't move away. "Let's get moving, people. Okran needs to show his wife how big he's gotten." Okran let off a bark of amusement. "Oh, I'll show her how big I can get." "Gross," muttered Neria. With breakfast finished we moved on, and true to Okran's words, we found ourselves in the Orton Thag, after having to take a side tunnel, because the main road was caved in. I had Serida smoothen the path we walked since I took her as my student, apprentice, grown child. I had to babysit, whatever you want to call her. My teaching skills still worked when I'm giving out instructions. She was not happy with that. She thought that I would teach her how to fight with boulders and make earth pillars like the one I used to put her in her place. I laughed at her. She tried to punch me. I had to first teach her how to properly walk. Earth bending is derived from the martial fighting style of Hung Gar, which is all about power, soft and hard. She has been trained to fight with a weapon, a warhammer, the same one that nearly took my head. What I needed to do was have her move past that form of fighting. She keeps making the same mistake. She swings her fists like she's holding a weapon. So, I started her on the basics, and the basics work best on smooth terrain. Orton Thag was just like the Eregican Thag, dark and filled with dark spawn, and giant spiders. Giant eight-legged, hairy, bug-eyed abominations. Burning them from a distance felt great. We found some evidence that Branka was here at some point and that she was hot in the trail of the Anvil of the Void. We also ran into Ruck. Man, was that dude fecked up. The blight wasn't good to anyone, but I'd like to think it could have been worse. At least he was able to talk. Curing him of his taint took 3343 MP. I don't know what it is about some dwarves, but they had an insane amount of resistance to the taint. He then started vomiting black sludge for over 10 minutes. I didn't think that was possible. I created 6 golems, gave them food, and had him take him back to Orzammar. After the obvious questions about my healing skills, we got back to the matter at hand. Branka wasn't going to find herself, but unfortunately, we ran into a slight problem. A complete collapse, grunted Okran, looking at the road that would lead to the dead trenches, completely filled in with boulders the size of 2-story houses. He looked over at me. Think you could move it? Not on your life. I don't have the slightest clue how unstable this is. One wrong move and the blight wins. We gonna need another way through. Sodding dust wipers. I don't really know any other way to pass this without backtracking, and that could take days, maybe even weeks. Then we go this way. Shale pointed off to the right to a passage leading away from the dead trenches are known to be. Has your tiny pebble mind finally cracked? There's nothing that way. The last people to explore that way said that it was covered in dark spawn. Shale, do you remember something? I asked. She hummed. It sounded like a distant rock slide. Yes, there should be a thag that way. It should connect to this road. So, what, are we going to listen to a defunct rockhead? Serida slapped Okran over the head. She speaks true. The stone is guiding me, showing me that if we follow Shale's lead, we will rejoin this road and reach the trenches. Anyone have any better ideas? No one said anything. Okay then, Shale, you have the lead. It took us 2 days to reach, but we found the Kadash Thag. It wasn't as big as Orzammar, but it wasn't small. Tens of thousands of dwarfs could have made this place home, but like Okran said, it was crawling with dark spawn, deep stalkers, and all forms of beasts. Still, there were over 20 of us at this point, and we worked like a well-oiled machine. Anything that got in our way was crushed and destroyed in short order. This continued until we reached an enormous dwarf stone statue. I know this. I know this place. There, she pointed to a stone filled with strange writing. It must have been ancient Dwarven, cause even Serida had a hard time reading it. Julie didn't. That book I got her on language learning came in handy. This is a memorial to all those who became golems. And look there, Shale Kadash. That's me. I came from this place. Hold on, you used to be a dwarf. Serida and Okran were shocked. You're telling me that every golem we've seen were once dwarves? Okran looked confused. Then why do you have control rods? Why are you not free? Why do ya just stand in one spot and not move? I do not know, smelly dwarf. I don't have all my memories, but they are slowly returning. I shall think of this later. For now, we have another dwarf to find. We camped in the Kadash Thag for the night, and like before I began making a small army of golems. Shale and I were the only ones awake in this ancient city. Muz Kadash. Speak mage. As you know, I wish to unleash a horde of golems on the dark spawn. Yes, the idea warms my cold stone. Well, one of my plans was to say we found them in the deep roads and accidentally let them loose on the dark spawn. With your permission, I wish to have the Kadash Thag be that place. You wish for my approval? Why? You're the only Kadash I know, and this is the Kadash Thag, so I guess you have the final say. Fine, I have no problem with this. I nodded, but you must leave enough of your golems here to keep the Kadash Thag from falling into dark spawn hands again. Deal. A deal has been struck. Deal. Shale has given you the right to use the Kadash Thag for your plan. In return you must make enough golems to keep the Kadash Thag from falling into dark spawn control. 166,000th earth golems, 0/10 steel golems. Reward. No one will suspect you of making the golems that will flood the deep roads. And friendly with Shale. Failure. The dwarves will investigate the strange resurgence of golems, making you their top suspect. With a goal in mind and not just making golems, I began using my magic absorption skill to speed up my magic regen. Instead of taking 30 minutes for my magic to refill, it was only 10. The only problem with this was that it made me a sitting target, so I just started spamming golems. 7,680 was my final score. I just used some of the steel golems in my inventory. That shit was exhausting, which was crazy cause gamer's body allowed me not to need sleep, just eat some food, drink some water, and I'm on top of the world. Not today, had to make a golem carry me. I did make it into a stone chair, I was Professor Ecking it through the deep roads. It took another 2 days from the Kadash Thag, but we got back on the road that led to the dead trenches, and we were making good time. It was on the 15th day when we heard it, I mean really heard it. Before all you would hear was a soft thumping noise, but now we heard it. Marching, the sound of thousands of feet moving in the same direction. It was hard to sleep at that time, everyone was anxious, the horde was within hearing distance, and I still made my golems. I didn't know if I would have to use them to buy us some time as we escaped. On the 16th day, we reached the dead trenches. The marching was deafening at this point. And then we saw it, a chasm. My danger sense nearly blew my mind. I formed an earth teepee to hide us. Jack didn't get to finish as an enormous blighted dragon flew out of the trench. Blighted Elder High Dragon. Fallen God Erthamiel. Age, unknown. LVL, 90. Its level is too high to observe. Once a god to the Tevinter Imperium representing beauty, is now a monster that will lead the dark spawn horde to destroy the surface, but is that its own decision, or is the taint in control? It doesn't know you exist. Well, that's never happened. Observe tells me facts, never a question. We saw it land on the bridge leading to a fortress. It roared, unleashing a lightning breath attack. Must have been some kind of command because the dark spawn started marching again. Giving one final roar, it took off deeper into the dead trenches. Feck me, I whispered. I'm guessing that's the archdemon. Yes, Duncan answered, and we're going to have to kill it without a griffin. We ran into the Legion of the Dead, nearly 80 strong, fighting dark spawn near the bridge. Their leader Cardle was sourly, but who wouldn't be, having to fight these damn things every day. Crossing the bridge and fighting the dark spawn was routine by now. Ayla buffs, heavies rush in, archers and mages at a distance, rogues flank, and I'm watching R6. Sarada was with me until she had a better hold of her new power. We kept with this formation and mowed everything down. It wasn't until we reached deeper into the fortress that we began hearing a haunting nursery rhyme. First day they come and catch everyone. Second day they beat us and eat some for meat. Third day the men are all nod on again. Fourth day we wait and fear for our fate. Fifth day return and it's soon another girl's turn. Sixth day her screams we hear in our dreams. Seventh day she grew as in her mouth they spew. Eighth day we hated as she is violated. Ninth day she grins and devours her kin. Now as she does feast, as she's become the beast. We found a female dwarf. Just looking at her hurt. Dwarf. Hespeth of House Branca. Age, 38. LVL, 5. HP 10/70ths, conditional. MP 1/5. Street, none. V, none. Dex, ghost. Int, damn Branca. Wis, she did this. Char, none. Luck, the worst. Ailments. Broken mind, uncurable, godly intervention needed. Suicidal, can't be healed until, broken mind, is healed. Atrophy. Tainted, uncurable, godly intervention needed. Blind. Hespeth was originally from a warrior caste dwarf from House Condrat. After Branca's elevation to Paragon, she along with the rest of her house voted to join the newly established noble House Branca. Around that time, she also started an affair with the Paragon, which became an open secret. Her mind is broken, she believes you're not real. Hespeth, whispered Ocran, his voice was so low, I almost thought I imagined it. Hespeth, can you hear me? Ocran, kid, can you do something? His voice was crushing my soul. It was so desperate, and I couldn't do anything. With all this power I was given, with all this meta-knowledge I had, I was useless, weak, small. I was every bit the human I was before. Please, I lowered my head. Words would not come out. He turned to Ayla, who was crying, and then to Serida, who was grinding her teeth. Anyone, please, you have all this magic, and you can't do anything. What's it all for then? Ocran, whispered Hespeth. Hith, you listen to me. I'll help, I'll. Ocran, it's okay. Okay, what part of this is okay? Just, please, just. Branca did this. Branca. You will see, through there, you will see. She moved away sitting on a coffin that littered the fortress. I summoned one of my golems to watch over her. We began walking towards the cave entrance she pointed to. You shall see what kind of monster Branca has become, was the last thing we heard as we traversed the cave. I know what was up ahead. A brood mother, a being that should be killed and pitied, in that order and quickly. Never will I be more grateful for Gamer's mind than I did when I saw it. Genlock Broodmother. Laren of House Branca. Age, 40. LVL, 49. HP 3000 and 3000ths. MP 100 and 100ths. Street, strength with size. V, tainted. Dex, none. Int, do as the song says. Wis, do as the song says. Char, monster. Luck, none. Weaknesses. Unable to move. No armor. Single-minded. I started the fight by earthbending a stone spear into its chest. Unfortunately, whatever comes with becoming a broodmother also involves redundant organs, because all that did was piss it off. It gave off a loud roar, commencing the fight. I compacted the floor as much as I could, trying to make it impossible for it to use its tentacles. It didn't do much. The tentacles still came out of the floor, but only 2 appeared. The broodmother's inability to move made her a sitting duck, so the flooding of dark spawn wasn't a big surprise. Serida, Ayla, and I were on grunt duty. I made walls by the entrances close enough that the dark spawn had to squeeze in one by one, making it easy for one of us to kill them. As the fight continued, I would occasionally fix the holes the broodmother's tentacles made so no one would lose their footing, but other than that I didn't do much. The broodmother, while big and with plenty of health, didn't have much fighting power. Without her tentacles and a small army of dark spawn servants, she was doomed. It all came to an end when Sky tossed Sten into the air and Sten came down with all the subtlety of a meteor, stabbing his blade up to the hilt into its head. There was silence. The dark spawn that were trying to get into the room gave one final scream before running off. That's where they come from, Hespeth whispered from a balcony, made of what I can only imagine was flesh of some kind. How the hell did she get away from my golem? I think she may have crawled into a small enough hole that it couldn't fit. That's why they hate us. That's why they need us. That's why they take us. That's why they feed us. But the true abomination is not that it occurred, but that it was allowed. Branca, my love, the stone has punished me. Ocran, I am dying of something worse than death, betrayal. She scurried deeper into the cavern. Hith, Ocran tried to follow, but the balcony was too high. Damn it, that way. Ocran wait, but he was gone. I could have just made an earthen staircase, but he ran off before I could do anything. Feck, after him. We began following after him. I had to take down my walls. Okran was a slippery weasel when he wanted to be. He passed through my wall funnel as he followed after Hespeth. Hith, we heard Okran yell. Finally reaching him, we saw why he was screaming. Hespeth was standing on a cliff over the trench, far from our reach. Get away from there. I had to stop Sky from flying out to grab her. No, if the dark spawn see you, the archdemon might be notified and we are going to need to fight our way out of here. Okran, I'm so tired. I can hear her. She has such a nice singing voice. So, perfect. Branka is less than a day away. She pointed down a different cave system. If it means anything, I'm sorry. She fell over the cliff. I grabbed Okran before he followed, disappearing into the deep in less than a second. Hespeth, he screamed. He went limp. Damn it, damn it, damn it, damn it, damn it. Damn it. He got back up from screaming at the chasm. Branka, let's go find her. She has a lot of explaining to do. His voice was filled with quiet rage. We fell back into formation with Okran in the lead. Okran's mood didn't get better, especially as we kept running into more of his family. By the time we reached the cave that led to Branka, he was steaming. He couldn't stop cursing under his breath. As we walked towards a large cavern, my danger sense went off. Something's wrong. I think there's a trap up ahead. Be careful, I called out. Branka must have been up ahead. It took over half a day to get here. Branka must have made her camp close enough to lure in dark spawn, but far enough for her to get to safety if she bit off too much to chew. When we got far enough into the cavern, the entrance was closed behind us, by some metal gate. If I had to, I could dig around, but the anvil is ahead of us. Let me be blunt with you. After all this time, my tolerance for social graces is fairly limited. That doesn't bother you, I hope. Branka appeared over a cliff, impossible to climb, but I wasn't going to climb. Dwarf Paragon. Branka of House Branka. Age, 40. LVL, 42. HP 800 and 800ths. MP 5/5. Street, crazy strength. V, living for the anvil. Dex, on edge. Int, the anvil is so close. Wis, the anvil is so close. Char, crazy. Luck, has a steady income of dark spawn. Ailments, madness. Poor nutrition. Blind rage. Lightly tainted. According to the Shapelet, which keeps extensive records about her, Branka was born into a wealthy smith house. She first picked up a hammer right before her 3rd birthday, when she crafted an iron badge in the shape of a nug's ear. This object already bore the first signs of what would become her signature technique and has been preserved in the Shapelet's vault for its historical value. She thinks you will be a good testing dummy. Branka, hissed Okran, get her down here. I slid my right leg back, summoning an earth pillar behind her, slamming into her back, launching her from her spot towards us. With all the rage I had, I grabbed her from the air by the face and slammed her to the ground. With my strength, armor, and haki, she hit the floor with a small tremor. She wasn't dead though. No, I softened the ground before her head hit, but it was still enough to knock her out. I reached over and removed her sword and shield, and placed them in my inventory. I also took the control rod she had strapped to her waist. I then healed her to the point she woke up. Ah, wah, where? I raised my foot and again with all my haki-imbued strength slammed my foot into her left hand. The sound of her bones turning to dust made me feel better. H. And her scream was like icing on top. Nick, Wynne cried out, shocked that I did that. I believed my eyes were glowing because she shut her mouth and backed off. Okran, I asked. Okran slapped Branka across her face, shutting her up. Okran, Branka gasped. Wah, what are you doing here? Holding her broken hand. What have you done? He hissed at her. Why? Why what? Did I leave you? Because, Okran promptly slapped her again. Why did you kill our family? Branka shut her mouth, looked at Okran, and frowned. They belonged to me. They were mine. They swore to me their loyalty. They swore to do as I command. I am their paragon. I am your paragon. I don't know what you are, but you're sure as void not my anything. He turned to us. So, what now? We drag her ass back to Orzammar, I guess, I spoke. Won't that make the dwarves angry? Ayla pointed out. And we do need the dwarves on our side, Alistair added. Then we get something that would balance out us kicking their crazy paragon's ass, I countered. Like? Theron asked. The anvil, answered Kaelin. But it was lost, and we can't look for it forever. Correct, but this crazy, family sacrificing, Nuglicker, is camped here. The question is, why? I asked. She ran out of people to use. Good guess, Neria, but I don't think this nut job would stop just because she didn't have slaves. Equipment, don't see much here, Theron answered. More realistic, but she did come with everything her house had and we got this far with nothing but ourselves. She found it. I raised my eyebrow. What did she find, Theron? She found the anvil of the void, he clarified. Hold a moment, if she found it, why has she not returned to Orzammar a hero? Asked Zevran. I hummed. Why, indeed, I doubt it was the dark spawn. She came here when there was no blight, so this place must have been crawling with them. It's trapped, locked away by Caradon, so none can get to it. It hurt too many. We all looked at Shale. I remember a little about this place, flashes, images, I can only make small sense of them. But the anvil is that way. She pointed to a path leading farther into the cave. No, it's mine. You can't Okran quick as a whip, slapped her again. You have lost your damn mind. Killed our entire house. Allowed the dark spawn to make the women into those monsters. Be silent. Shale, please lead the way, Duncan asked. Nick, we still need her. I nodded and encased her in an earth pillar and levitated her behind us. Her camp was filled with dead dwarves and dark spawn, much to Okran's anger and misery. Not all the dark spawn were dead, but we made quick work of them. Watch it, Lyrium, Alyssa pointed out the blue ore. Lyrium ore, unstable. Lyrium exists both in the mortal world and in the Fade and somehow bridges the gap between them. Lyrium consumption strengthens a mage's relation to the Fade, thereby boosting mana. The Chantry believes Lyrium to be the emerald waters of the Fade, the very substance of creation itself, from whence the Maker fashioned the world. In truth, Lyrium is the blood of Titans, children of the stone made in the magic realm. Best used to make mana potions. Be warned, mages with small magic cores could be expanded by force, leading to permanent damage or outright death. Recommended to have a resistance to Lyrium or an MP of 1000 to handle. This was nothing like the one back at Hope. That one was stable, only needing an MP score of 50 to touch, and it didn't kill, at least not right away. Does the taint make Lyrium unstable? Or is it the veil? Is this why the Titans were asleep? Whatever the case, I decided to leave it alone. I thought we were going to trigger the traps to get to the anvil, but Shale just pressed some boulders along the way, causing a small rumbling before stones parted leading around all the traps. We looked over at her, but she seemed to be in some sort of trance. We stuck close, not wanting to be crushed by the closing boulders. The new trail led straight to another golem made of metal and nearly 3 times the size of Shale. The room was amazing, lava pouring out of the walls and into a pit that seemed to drain somewhere. And the anvil, covered in lyrium and enough runes to make me shiver. Julie looked ready to bolt towards it and write out its runes. I just took some photos. So, the anvil has been found. A metal golem spoke. My name is Caradon, once a paragon of the dwarves of Orzammar. Caradon, as in the paragon smith. Alive. Ah, there is a voice I recognize, Shale of the House of Kadash. Step forward. You know my name. Is it you that forged me? Have you forgotten then? Ah, it has been a long time. I made you into the golem you are now, but before that, you were a dwarf. Just as I was. You were the finest warrior to serve King Valtor, and the only woman to volunteer. Yes, I saw my name on a stone carving in the Kadash Thag. Caradon nodded, or at least tried. He motioned to the anvil. I laid you on the anvil of the void, here in this very room, and put you into the form you now possess. The anvil of the void. That is what we seek. If you seek the anvil, then you must care about my story, or be doomed to relive it. So, you really made the anvil? Asked Morrigan. Though I made many things in my time, I rose to fame and earned my status based on a single item, the anvil of the void. It allowed me to forge a man of steel or stone, as flexible and clever as any soldier. As an army, they were invincible, but I told no one the cost. No mere smith, however skilled, has the power to create life. To make my golems live, I had to take their lives from elsewhere. Everyone looked over to me, but I said nothing. That sounds a lot like blood magic. That is a dangerous road you took. Wynne spoke, looking over and finding her giving me a suspicious look. I frowned at her. Don't assume, Warlock. To assume is to make an ass out of you and me. She looked away. I understood what I was doing, but Dark Spawn were pressing into Orzammar. Originally, I only took volunteers, the bravest of souls, willing to trade their very lives for a chance to defend their homeland, but Valtor wanted more. He began to force casters, criminals, and his political enemies, all of which would be given to the anvil. It was only until I felt the hammers blow myself that I realized the height of my crimes. What about now? Do you wish for revenge? Aidan asked. Not revenge. The blow of the hammer opened my eyes. My apprentices knew enough to make me as I am, but not enough to fashion a control rod. I retained my mind. You were amongst the most loyal Shale, you remained by my side throughout everything, and at the end, I sent you away out of mercy. I do not remember. The ancient golem gave a hum. We have remained entombed ever since, and I have sought a way to destroy the anvil. Alas, I cannot do it myself. No golem can touch it. No, the anvil is mine. No one will take it from me. I squeezed the pillar tighter, Darth Vader style. H. Do we need her anymore? We have another paragon. Why not ask him to make something to prove who should be king? Everyone looked at me, then at Branka, then at Caradon. You make a good point. Zevran agreed. She's crazy. No, we can't trust her. The moment we give her the anvil, she'll try to make us into golems. I vote Caradon. People started voting on who should gain the anvil. I looked over to Okran, who was looking away. Okran, damn it, I hate this. You know that they hated me. My own house, my family. I did everything, every fight, every hour of study, and every painful blow I took. I did it all for them. He whispered, low enough for me to hear. They even made me marry her, and I was happy, just for a moment. Branka used to have this shine in her eyes that made my heart skip. She was so smart, but when she was made paragon, she began to grow more and more distant. Losing herself to the anvil. I knew she stopped being my wife when I found her with Hespeth. And now, he looked at the raving mad woman. She died a long time ago, didn't she? We went silent. We watched the other argue about what to do with the anvil. Caradon didn't say or do anything, just waited. Why are we even debating about this? We have thousands of golems at the ready. We don't need this. It was Alistair who brought everyone back from their arguing. Golems? Thousands? What do you speak of? Caradon asked. Everyone looked over at me. Geez, thanks, Alistair. It's not like I wanted to keep that on the down low. I snapped my fingers and summoned one of my steel golems. It was around Caradon's size. Fascinating. These are empty. No soul, just body. How did you make this? I shrugged. I'm special. My magic works more on imagination. I need to imagine what I want, then how it would work, and then add the correct amount of magic. It takes me a good amount of time to get it right, but when I do, it becomes second nature. Lying has ranked up. Intermediate to journeyman. You have great magic. How many of these have you made? 2,560 a night, or day, or rest time. 11 days, plus 7,680 in the Kadash Thag, minus the 6,000 that need to stay there to keep it from falling into dark spawn, all and all, about 29,840. And that's just getting here. I'll probably make a similar number on the way out. Alistair started counting on his fingers. That's like, 60,680, Theron answered for him. If you make 2,560 at the Kadash Thag, and if he doesn't make any on the last 3 days to Orzammar. Holy Nug, that's half of Orzammar. Serida's eyes bugged out. Who will hold their leash? Asked Caradon. No one. Well, me, I guess, but I would only give them one order. Kill Darkspawn. Caradon nodded. That will be helpful to the dwarves, but what of after? If they're not all destroyed, they'd shut off, put themselves into standby mode, and wait for more orders. But I would have to come down here and give them new orders, and no offense, but I hate this place. Ha! Okran let out a bark of laughter. But before we destroy the anvil, yes, some of us shrugged in agreement. Okay, before we destroy the anvil, we need to upgrade Shale. Everyone looks at Shale, who was reading names on a stone tablet. Yes, she does look smaller, but I do not have any golem bodies left. We would need a new body. Ah man, I really wanted that robot made, I muttered. Why can't we use one of these golems? I pointed at one of the golems standing around. They are already forged. 2 souls cannot inhabit the same body, it would destroy both. Wait, are they alive? Why don't they move? Asked Leliana, waving her hand in front of the golem. They sleep. They entered Doom Rata. Final sleep. They rest until called on. Only a control rod can wake them. Like this one. I pulled out the control rod. Caradon took a step back in shock. Where? I pointed at a struggling Branka. Ah, I see. Yes, this can control them, but I ask you not to. They wish for rest. Can't I just free them? They went into Doom Rata, on their own. They might fight you for waking them. But that's not here nor there. Shale would need a new body. He looked over to my steel golem. This could work. I got a better one. I summoned Project Hestia. The legs are not finished, they're only bones. Pointed out Shale. Yes, Shale, I can see that. She isn't finished, but she's the only thing that could match your strength. I don't know how Caradon made you, but I added enough runes and power to keep it going forever. Caradon looked over the body, picked it up, and gave it a good squeeze, yanking on its limbs. With nothing breaking or bending. It is well made, and these runes are good, not a masterwork, but the amount counteracts that. Can I see the core? I opened the torso showing the titanium core powered by 4 mini-reactors. And these are, I had to explain what an arc reactor is and how it worked. I have never heard of such a device, but if what you say is true, this could power her body for many years. Does the body have to be so small? I made it like this so it could protect my house, so I needed it to be nimble, but strong. Light on its feet, but with power to kill. I shrugged. I have the material to finish them, but I decided that I should focus more on not dying down here. It also has abilities that can kill birds from a distance. She grabbed the body and started walking towards the anvil. Don't just stand there, I need a new body. I shoved Branka into the ground. Didn't want her causing problems. She had a dead look in her eyes, to be so close, but never reach it. I ran after Caradon with Julie right behind me. The anvil was crazy up close. The anvil of the void. The anvil was the key to forging Warforged. However, Caradon knew he could not make a living creature out of non-living materials. He realized that to create a golem, a life had to be taken from elsewhere to power it. This is a Grandmaster rune-crafted object. Copy the runes at your own risk. Hot damn. Julie was taking pictures like crazy. The anvil was covered in lyrium. I could feel the magic pushing me back. I cannot use the anvil, but you can. He passed Julie and me some lyrium-infused hammers. Oh, I'm keeping this. Now, let's do a little practice and finish the rest of the body. Through your hard work and effort, you have gained a new skill. Learning, repeat after me. Sometimes the best way to know something is through another's tutelage. You are unskilled, but due to your WIS and INT score, you start at intermediate. 25% to learning something when being taught. Your crafting skill has ranked up. Journeyman to advanced. I'm embarrassed it took me so long to gain this skill. With this skill and with Jack of all trades I can learn anything 50% faster, that's insane. We've been at it for a few hours. My rune crafting hasn't leveled up, but damn was I close. Learning from a grandmaster of rune crafting really helped me gain express. You were very impressive. I'm a little happy you weren't around when I was in my prime. You would have been able to make your own golems or warforged. Is that what you call us? Thank you. Looking over, I found Julie feverishly writing down everything Caradon said. Shale just stood there watching us work. I couldn't tell if she was bored. Looking over to the group, most of the fighters were playing some kind of card game, and the mages were wandering around the room, trying to gain some knowledge from the carvings found throughout the room and how the lyrium was used. So, you think we're ready? Yes, you now know how to transfer Shale's soul to her new body. He didn't add that it would only work in this anvil, but that was obvious. Shale, it is time. Shale nodded. Moving Shale's soul was intense. It took Julie and me over an hour. It took Caradon just under 10 minutes, but he had a team. The hammers Caradon gave us were used to destroy Shale's body, unleashing a bright light. We quickly held up a lyrium lantern that seemed to absorb the light. I then dipped the lyrium hammer into the lantern. The light transferred from the lantern to the hammer, and with all my strength slammed the hammer into her new body. I was nearly blinded as the hammer infused the soul into the core. Silence reigned. What happened? Did it work? Shale's voice was much softer. I wasn't sure how that worked. Maybe it was the material used to create the warforged. Her eyes were glowing bright blue as well as the runes on her new body. She slowly got off the anvil, nearly falling, but Julie caught her, helping her back to her feet. What is this? You're soft and warm. Those are the nerves we put in the golem. I used a mind-reading orb to transfer my sense of touch and taste. It was mostly an experiment, to see if it could work. So, if something feels weird, please tell us. She nodded. Taking steps slowly, she slowly began to get her rhythm, and before we knew it, she was striding around the room. What are these symbols? What do you see? I asked. There are bars. Oh, when I focused on them, an explanation appeared. One bar says, mana available, 2000. Another says, durability, 6000 and 6000ths. Oh damn, I think she has a gaming interface. It must be the body interface. I use one on my armor to tell me how much magic I have left before I go into a mana crash, or how damaged my armor is, warning me that I need to repair it. Can you think of the word, laser? She crunched her new eyebrows. Yes, something came up. Okay, point your arm over there. I pointed to the wall. And select the ability. Her left arm opened up and a small-looking laser pointer came out. A small whining noise slowly began to build. Then a beam shot out, hitting the wall. It cut off a moment later, leaving a melted glowing hole. I didn't know how deep it went, but it looked super lethal. What's your mana level? 1800, 2000. It says it's on cooldown. Okay, that's good. We can stop. Any more weapon testing can wait until we're out of here. Your base strength should be stronger than your other body, so please don't use any magic until we leave this place. The last thing I wanted was for her to use a thunder wave and bury us under a mountain. So, now that we have finished this, you guys can figure out what you wanted from Caradon. I walked over to Sten and Shale, who were talking about her new body, as she crushed boulders. We talked about what it could do and what we could add in the future. I kept it a little vague, mostly because I had a plan for the golem. Now that Shale is using it as a new body, I had to work with her and any opinions or thoughts she may have. I also went over the notes Julie made and talked about what kind of runes Caradon must have used to make the anvil. We could barely make heads or tails of some of the more advanced runes, but some of them had similar patterns to some we knew, like the power rune, transfer rune, and the durability rune, but they were all made to a grandmaster level. It took only about 30 minutes for the rest of the group to agree that a crown would be the tool used to declare a new king. Who that king might be was not my problem. Kalen and Duncan can take that honor. With that said, Caradon walked up to the anvil and began smithing a crown with some of the leftover steel we didn't use to finish Shale's body. It took over 30 minutes and it came out beautiful. Grandmaster crafted crown. This crown has no magical properties other than being amazingly well made. Can be sold for over 5,000 gold bars. Hot damn, now that's a crown. So, we dumping this thing? I spoke up. pointing at the anvil. Everyone gave each other a quick look and nodded, some more reluctant than others. All right, I'll chuck it into the lava, but we should have a way out of here. I'm not sure how lyrium reacts to lava. No need for that, my student. Oh, Caradon sees me as a student, that's nice. I mean, I only worked with him for about 3 hours, but... Hey, who am I to say no? I made the anvil with a flaw when I was still mortal just in case the dark spawn ever overran this location, I could destroy it. A self-destruct button, but when I was turned into a golem, the rune would no longer work for me. He walked over to the anvil and pointed to a hole. I placed the rune somewhere it wouldn't accidentally be pressed. All right, Kalen, you're up. I pushed him forward. He gave me an incredulous look. Me? Is it not a dwarven creation? Would it not need dwarven hands? We turned to the 3 dwarves in our party. I'm casteless, and this seems like more of a higher caste thing. Nat said, moving away from the other 2 dwarves. And I was exiled, so I can't possibly take such an honor. Serida moved away from Okran, who was now looking around for someone else to push the button. Yar sodding nug licking dust sniffing wine drinking, ugh, fine. Move. He shoved us out of the way, walking over to the anvil. This one, right, Caradon nodded. If I die, none of Yar are allowed at my funeral. He shoved his middle finger into the hole, and nothing happened. Okran, my friend, you cannot just shove your finger into a hole willy-nilly. You got to lead up to it. Zevran joked. If nothing, Zevran has great comedic timing. Shut up, Yar sodding knife ear bast. Then a loud cracking noise came from the anvil. Okran quickly freed his finger and backed away. The anvil slowly began to grow cracks stemming from the hole, traveling throughout the anvil until... Pop. Well, it didn't look like a pop. It shattered into a million pieces, but the noise most certainly was, making us very confused. We all looked at Caradon, who shrugged. I didn't want it to make a lot of noise in case there were dark spawn close by. That makes some sort of sense. What of you, Caradon? You no longer have to stay here. You are correct. With my purpose completed, I can now enter Doom Rata. To rest. You don't have to. Now that you're free, you could go back to Orzammar, or maybe travel the world. I suggested. You can even awaken your fellow golems. I pointed to the standing golems. The world is a big place and you have only lived here. Travel. You did your job. Enjoy your freedom. You have a point. He looked at the control rod I gave him. All I ever did was fight. To leave the fight. Never did I think that was possible. I shall think about it. For now, I shall find all the golems I have made and try and free them from their control rods. I nodded. So, what do we do with her? Branka was still looking at the destroyed anvil. We take her back to Orzammar, yes. Leliana answered. We still need a paragon, no. We have the crown with Caradon's ancient symbol. The council can't deny its authenticity, not without making themselves look like fools. Serida pointed out the symbol on the crown. She is no longer necessary, and I don't like the idea of taking a crazed dark spawn creating psychopath with us for 16 days. Nick, can't you cure her of her madness? Aidan asked. I could. Then why didn't you? Okran asked. He didn't sound angry. Anything involving Branka makes him go silent now. Curing her madness allows her to put all her memories in order. It allows her to focus her thoughts and remember everything she's done. Barring she isn't a complete sociopath. Those memories will hit her like a brick shit house. It could make her suicidal, or it could make her just as crazy as before. Worse, she could be completely fine and believe she was in the right and do it all over again. Everyone went quiet. There wasn't an easy solution to this. Okran, you're her husband, for whatever that means. What do you want to do? This was a scumbag thing to do, putting the decision on someone else's shoulders, but I didn't have much stake in this. People believed that Branka had been dead for 2 years. And seeing her like this, it's hard not to agree. Looking over at Branka, she was still looking at the remains of the anvil with a dead look in her eyes. We should leave her here with her anvil. She killed everyone else who cared about her. Let her have her treasure. I said nothing, but I did release Branka from her pillar, dumping her on the ground. She slowly got up and walked over to the destroyed anvil and just kneeled on the floor trying to piece it back together. We said nothing and walked away, leaving her to her fate. And back to Orzammar we went. Every time we would stop at our old rest area, I would activate my golems on standby and send them on a dark spawn killing frenzy, followed by making another 2560 and sending him out next. I did it for 14 days, not wanting any of Orzammar's scouts to see me making golems. It's been a little over a goddamn month since we came underground. I can't wait to get back. We came up with the idea that Caradon activated the golems that were now going hog wild on every dark spawn in the deep roads. I had to turn off my notifications from my golems, otherwise I would be unable to see with how many prompts kept popping up. I just watched my express bar steadily increase. By the time I got to Orzammar, I gained 2 levels, and it kept rising. "Hold," called out one of the dwarves protecting the entrance to Orzammar. "Ah, Grey Wardens. Good to see you return. Does that mean that you have news about Paragon Branca?" Duncan stepped forward. "We have, and we wish to tell your assembly of our journey, the fate of Branca, and the Anvil of the Void." He called out, making many of the dwarves mutter. "And, her," the guard pointed at Serida. "You have words to say to me. You're an exile. You're not welcome here." He didn't say much after that because she launched him into the air, using an earth pillar. That made every dwarf raise their weapons, and their faces only showed shock. "The stone has chosen me as its paladin. I have the power to move the earth at will. Does anyone else have anything to say?" "I thought not." "Move." The dwarves split like the Red Sea. "Damn. Duncan, you need us here. I have some things to do." He waved us away. "Don't worry, we have met with the possible kings. If you wish not to come with me, you can stay here." I decided to walk back to the common district and sit by the entrance to Orzammar. Feck, what a month. I felt someone sit next to me. Looking over, I found Jack sitting to my left, followed by Sky to my right, with Dogmeat at my feet. Julie sat on Sky's lap, and Nat sat next to Sky with Pancake at her feet. Across from me were Zevran, Sten, Shale, and Theron, sitting on their own bench. I guess everyone else went to the assembly. "Hey, Yarnug lovers. Oh, never mind. It seems like Okran was just going to get some beer. He has been quiet ever since we left Branca in the deep roads, well, mostly. He still cursed at anything that attacked us, but he was doing more listening than talking. Okran, looking drunk. He. Thanks. So, you guys leaving? Yep, after we get the dwarves on our side we're gone. Off to our new adventure. You looking for some help? Help? You mean to fight unending nightmare creatures who want nothing more than to split me open and eat me alive? Yeah, you wanna come?" He shrugged. "Ain't nothing left for me here. I think I'll have better luck elsewhere." "Then I welcome you, Okran. Be warned though, you will be cleaned every day." "And how are you goin'?" He was cut off by Julie shooting him with the cleaning scale. And just like that, his breath was minty fresh, his hair shined, and he was spotless. "A little warning next time, ya brat." I gave a small chuckle. "So, who do ya think gonna be king?" "Don't know, don't care. With any luck, I won't be coming back anytime soon." "I hear ya, this place is going to the void. I swear this place is an earthquake away from falling in on itself." As if his words were the straw that broke the camel's back, the lava fountain that wasn't too far away stopped producing any hot juice. "Ah, is that normal?" I asked, getting up slowly. "No," he whispered. And then one by one the lava fountains stopped producing the one thing that made him interesting. Even the lava lake was draining away, leaving us in complete darkness. "That can't be good." I created a light orb, giving us a little light. Then a tremor, it was small but repeating, like a heartbeat. Then the earth moved a foot to the right, dropping us to the floor. Fuck, the earth was waking up. Was it a titan? Did the stone wake them anyway? "Nick," I heard someone yell my name. Shit, I slammed my hands into the earth, levitating the ground we were on, allowing us to gain our bearings. "Nick, what's going on?" I looked over and spotted everyone. They were okay, jostled, but okay. Earthquake. The screams of the people and the earth trying to implode in on itself made it hard to hear. I felt a hand pat my shoulder. It was Okran and he was pointing at something. It was glowing. Using zoom I found it to be Serada. She was going full avatar, using a small island to levitate off the ground, and slowly raising her arms. And the breaking of the earth became louder and louder. There will be change. Damn, I could hear her from where I was. I began summoning light orbs by the dozen and shooting them everywhere, trying to figure out what was going on. The ceiling. It was rising. Inch by inch, the ceiling was rising. Whoa, everyone followed my sight. The shaking then stopped as the mountain above us finally detached. It began to slowly move away from the city below it, heading south. I think, all I knew was that it was heading away from Mother Base. No more hiding. The world is changing, you must change or die. I'm going to take a wild guess and say that was the stone talking. Oh, it's nighttime. I didn't know what else to say to what I was seeing. There was a full moon and thousands upon thousands of stars, and not a cloud in sight. This was true power. Looking back to Orzammar, I found tens of thousands of dwarves looking up into the night sky in shock. Orzammar now looked more like a dome with a single pillar in the center. I made guardrails on my flying island. Hold on. I pushed my ride forward at 20 miles per hour. Being a master-ranked earthbender, doing this was easy and super cool. Okran, on the other hand, was holding on to me as if his life depended on it. Zevran was holding onto the guardrail, his hair blowing majestically behind him. I could only imagine his too wide grin. Sten and Shale, right next to him. Everyone else was closer to the ground, trying not to get blown away by the wind. Faster, screamed Zevran. Slower, countered Okran. It didn't matter what they wanted. We're here. Thank the stone. Oh, we should do that more often, Zevran cheered. Ya sodding crazy sun-fried fool. I patted Okran on the back to calm him down a little, as I landed my rock. What's going on? Nobody answered, still looking at the sky. I grabbed the closest person to me, which happened to be Kalen. Kalen, what happened? He blinked at me, slowly regaining his wits. Instead of telling me anything, he started miming at me like that would somehow get the point across. I slapped him, with words. Nobody wanted to listen. Something about how it was against tradition and how Serada should be killed for returning. Serada just began to glow and well. He waved at the sky. Yeah. Is there a king? No, we didn't get to that. I looked over to the mountain that was now far enough away that all of Orzammar was now out in the open. Then I saw it come down as if gravity was reinstated. Brace. I made an earth dome to protect us from the dust cloud that came out of the fallen mountain, following another tremor. When it finally stopped, I bent the earth away, revealing a glowing Serada coming down from the sky, arms outstretched. As the stone, the earth beneath you, as your home, as your creator. I declare, no more. The children are dying, this curse is killing you, driving you to extinction. No more separation, no more fighting alone, no more old traditions. You are all dying, no more. She pointed at me. You shall help my children. Eat all of my ass. I'm not sure if it was Gamer's mind or just the fact that I got to see the sky again, but I wasn't going to be this thing's toy. You dare. Damn straight. Your children got themselves into this, they can get themselves out. If not, then they have only themselves to blame. Don't put me anywhere near your shit. We just stared at one another. Very well, God Whisperer. A god has given you a new title, God Whisperer, plus 15% to char when using this title. Motherfucker, that better not stick. Suddenly Serada's eyes stopped glowing, quickly dashing toward her, catching her before she hit the ground. Looking her over, I found out that she only had a chi crash. There was a timer on how long she was going to be unconscious. Nearly a day, but after that show, I'm surprised it's not longer. God Whisperer, eh? I turned and pointed my finger at Morrigan. Don't, she just smirked. I sighed. I'm taking her to Mother Base. Finish up here. I have one last person to pick up, meet you on the ship. I lifted her in a bridal carry. She was heavier than I thought. I guess dwarves are small but compact. Hold, you shall, was as far as that guard got before I launched him into the air. I just kept walking, no one else got in my way. Bye, called out Sky as she followed me out. Looking back, I found everyone I flew to the assembly walking out, with the full attention of every dwarf in there. In fact, all the dwarves were looking at us on our way out. You know, this is a pretty good cave. If it wasn't for the ugly, I think one of my sisters would come live here. Nick, a voice called out as we walked down into the common district. Trying to see which little head was talking, I found Dagna raising her book. Dagna, just the dwarf I was looking for. Ready to go. Oh, yeah, but my father is against it, but with all this, he may change his mind. Can you talk to him? I shrugged. Sure, where's he at? By the exit. I had her come close and started leading us out. Father, and like every other dwarf, he had a beard. Father, this is my soon-to-be teacher. She presented me. The man was not all there. He was still looking up at the sky. Father, he gave a small shake, focusing on me. You. He looked at me, then at Sereda, to Dagna, back to me. Yes, hello good sir. My name's Nick Walters, a man of mysteries, human, and your daughter's teacher. I gave Sereda to Sky and gave him a handshake. Yes, it's true, I am the man who will take your daughter far from here. Far from this mess, somewhere safe, that's not here, where there is no doubt going to be a hectic time, and of course, she's going to be paid for all her hard work, no student of mine will be found wanting. And that's the truth, Darkspawn may not carry a lot of money, but for every kill, I got 10 to 15 silver on average. So, money won't be a problem for a while. Yes, it is a bit scary when children leave their childhood home, but it's part of life, of growing up. Go on, tell your daughter how proud you are of her, for choosing for herself. Tell her that even though you're worried, that even though you won't get to see her grow into the woman you know she'll be, that you love her, that you will always be her father. Give her your blessing, or you will regret it for the rest of your life. I slightly pushed him towards Dagna. Come on, charisma stat. He blinks, trying to regain some kind of cohesion. Dagna, are you sure you want this? You would be leaving everything you've ever known. For magic. Dad, the world is changing, and I can't live at home forever. I know it's scary out there, that I can die, but I want to see it all, to experience it all. Can't keep all this Dagna here, I might destroy what's left. They both laughed. I think that was an inside joke. It did make me smile though. He pointed at me. Can you promise she won't get hurt? Can you? I can't promise she'll be safe, but I can promise I'll do my best to keep her safe. The world's not an easy place and it's dangerous. No one can be 100% safe, but I can do my best. He gave me a hard glare but sighed. Very well, I suppose that's the best I can get. Oh, here, I tossed him a mirror phone. You can use this to communicate with her from almost anywhere. He gave me a confused look. I sent everyone on ahead while I went over the phones with Dagna and her father. It was an hour later that Dagna and I walked out of Orzammar. She had her head held high, back straight, and her upper lip up tight, but her tears weren't stopping. I patted her on the shoulder. Don't worry too much, I have no doubt you'll see him again. How are you so sure? I pointed to the sky. 'Cause you're all surface dwarves now. What are they going to do? Not let you in because you're a surface dwarf? Yeah, you're right, they have to let people in now. They don't have much of an excuse anymore. She giggled. Hey, quick question, are you scared of heights? She gave me a non-committal shrug. And that Orzammar is out of the way. I do at times change the story's picture, it's the art I make for the story. Sorry to anyone who has a hard time reading this story due to grammar issues, I am getting better, bit by bit. Or I'm not. Please review, I do read your comments. And like always I have a DeviantArt page, the link is on my bio.